You like that? You like that little impromptu intro I just did there? All on my own, all by my lonesome. I managed to do it all by myself. Even without the StreamYard. Fancy that, huh? No, there's a reason why I don't have the StreamYard. Hey, everybody, by the way. Hope you're having a good day out there. Everybody out there in the chat. Saw a few familiar faces out there. Spooky, Achilles, Professor Hizzle, Mr. Bolin, Big Bad Mama. Welcome everyone to the stream. Hope everybody's doing well today. But there is a reason why I'm on the restream today and not on my usual StreamYard. And that reason would be because a certain somebody by the name of Missing Mod has decided to depart from the community, at least for the time being. Now I figured I'd read her comments, right? Why not? Better to read her own words first and foremost, right? And that's fair, and that's understandable. But I think that's what I'm going to do right now really quickly, if I can actually grab it really quick. There we go. Share screen. Pull that back up on the main stream. Sorry about this, guys. I'm still getting the hang of the old restream compared to StreamYard. But oh, it wasn't this one. Hold on. Let me go back. It's in this stream where it was. No wonder I wasn't able to find it. I was looking for the wrong stream. Silly me. Anyways, Mod says the politics have totally changed everyone in this group so much that I don't recognize anyone anymore. It's just not what I want to do with my time. I do not enjoy holding hate in my heart, and I just won't do it. It's toxic, and I'm officially done with it. The left wing is full of delusional nut jobs. You people are going to destroy everything, and the right is too stupid and full of hate to do anything about it. I don't know how you don't see it. It isn't rational at all. The hate for authority is so strong that you can't rationalize anything, exactly like children do when they get angry. I can't deal with it, so I'm not going to. But good luck. I hope you guys destroy everything. I love all you fucking nut jobs. I miss you guys already. So, that's what Missing Mod had to say about that. And, fair enough, right? If you want to leave the community behind, if you just want to kind of do your own thing, that's totally understandable. I'm not going to take that away from you. If you don't want to participate in this community, I said the same thing to Dustin, right? If you don't want to be around because you don't like the talking points that are being discussed, fair enough. But sharing a little bit of an anecdote through our personal correspondence through each other, she made it pretty clear that even though she was leaving, she was going to keep the StreamYard around. So, she says to me yesterday, I'm giving BS my seat in StreamYard, just FYI. And I replied with, all right, thanks for letting me know. And she replied with, no problem. You guys have until August. After that, you'll have to pay for it. And I replied just asking if there was still the videos available of the streams I did on her channel. Just asking to see whether or not they happened to be there, because I never got around to putting them up, which is my bad, by the way. She gave me multiple opportunities to be able to put them up. I just was too busy/lazy to be able to get around to actually doing it. So that's my bad. I'll take full responsibility for that. But she replies with, lol, no, should have gotten them. You're lucky I didn't delete the StreamYard, lol, what the fuck? To which I replied with, all good, was just curious. And her final word to me was, sorry, Aiden, hate me if you want. To which I replied with, never said I did. And I go and check things out this morning because I'm going to be getting ready to go and do a stream today on the old YouTube channel. And lo and behold, without a single word from Missing Mod, all of a sudden I find out that I don't have the StreamYard anymore, that it's been taken away. And once again, I'm just going to start this little rant by saying Mod has every right to do that, right? It's her StreamYard. If she wants to take that away, she has every right to do that if she wants to. That's what I'm not pissed off about, right? What I'm pissed off about is the fact that she made it seem like I was going to be able to still use that StreamYard, which, you know, was a pretty big deal when you've got your own intro and you've got your own graphics, which, by the way, all made by her. Out of her own kindness, by the way. I never even asked for it. She went out of her way to go and make all that stuff for me. Really high quality stuff as well, by the way. Still, shout out to Missing Mod for making that stuff. I really appreciate that. But all that stuff was on the StreamYard, right? And to have that taken away for seemingly no reason whatsoever, I didn't display any aggression towards her. I didn't say anything to piss her off. And she didn't seem to indicate that I had pissed her off. So what conclusion am I left to come with, except that she just took it away out of spite? She just took it away because she's not benefiting from it from any way, shape, or form if she's going to leave the community behind. If she just wanted to leave that behind, and or, by the way, if she just wanted to tell me at the very outset, hey, I'm taking the StreamYard, just letting you know, that would have been totally cool, right? That would have been totally fine. If she would have just said, hey, Aiden, I'm taking the StreamYard away. You got to work things out on Restream right now. Then I would have already kind of had a plan to get things done over here on Restream and kind of had at least a little bit of a structure and would have been able to go grab my intro and outro video and had them as my own video. But no, I wasn't given that opportunity. Because unfortunately right now, Mod is in her feelings. And when she gets in her feelings like this, she acts extremely erratically and she acts extremely irrationally. And she never takes any actual responsibility for it. That's just the truth, all right? The truth of the matter is that she's the kind of person that when she gets called out for this bullshit, will just go, oh, you know, I'm so sorry. I'm just going through a lot right now. I don't really have control over myself right now. Who isn't going through a lot right now? Who doesn't have trials and tribulations they're going through in life and facing right now that they've got to deal with? That doesn't give you an excuse to treat your friends like shit. Okay? It just doesn't. Straight up. And that's what you did, Steph. You treated me like shit. And you treated me like shit for no good reason. Because I have been nothing but deferent to you. As far as your concerns and as far as your complaints and as far as all that shit is concerned. Not to the point where I've stopped talking about it because you're not going to fucking dictate what I'm going to talk about. But I've been nothing but deferent to you about this up until that point. And now for you to just turn around and do this for seemingly no reason whatsoever, yeah, that kind of pisses me off a little bit. So, I don't know. While you have every right to do whatever the hell you want, you don't have the right to do whatever the hell you want and not face consequences for it, Stephanie. And when I say consequences, I'm not trying to, I'm trying to make you scared right now. I'm trying to intimidate. No, I'm not trying to intimidate you at all. The consequences are the fact that I'm going to look down upon you as a friend at this point because you did something fucked up for no good reason. That's the natural consequence, right? If you as my friend go and do something like this for no good reason and can't even be bothered to explain why you did it, then this is a pretty natural reaction. I'm not paying $400 for this garbage. You said that we wouldn't have to pay until August. You said that there wouldn't be any payment required until August. That's what you said. Funny how you're over here now, by the way. You want to come over here and bring it in public, but when I try to contact you privately prior to this, to try and avoid this exact thing, by the way, I was trying to contact you privately earlier today because I didn't want this to be a giant public thing. But when you're not willing to get back to me or provide a single explanation whatsoever, yeah, I'm going to come out and say something about it. By the way, what are you doing here, by the way, Missing Mod? I thought you were gone. I thought you were taking a break from all of this. It hasn't even been 24 hours, and here you are, back here, contradicting yourself just like you do all the damn time. All the damn time. You flip-flop on this kind of shit constantly. And that's why you always take down your live videos, isn't it? The reason why you can't ever keep those up for long term is because people could actually hold you to account for the shit that you've said. And you don't want that. You want to just be able to get up here and say whatever the hell you want and do whatever the hell you want and not receive any consequences for it. I'm doing what I want. Yeah, and I just said earlier, didn't I, that you're free to do what you want if you want. I'm not saying you're not free to do what you want. I'm saying you're not free to do whatever you want and not have consequences. And it seems like that's the thing that you hate more than anything else, is consequences for your actions. You try to shield yourself from consequences as much as you possibly can. And that's bullshit. All right, I'm sorry, it's bullshit. And I would be a shitty person to not point that out from you, but point that out from everybody else, okay? I'm fucking pissed off at you, and I'm going to express why I'm pissed off at you. And I noticed that you haven't really actually addressed. Let me go back and make sure so I'm not misrepresenting you. Hey, fuckface, I sent you all plus more intros to your Discord. I did you a favor, asshole. Oh, really? Did you do me a favor? I didn't realize that pulling the rug out from underneath me when you, by the way, are the one that encouraged me to come and do streams on your StreamYard in the first place. That little chestnut kind of needs to be brought into the conversation. You're the person who, in the first place, asked me to migrate over from doing Restream to going and doing streams on your platform over on StreamYard. And I was extremely grateful for that. But if I would have known at the time that that was subject to you just rug pulling me from that as soon as you got your fifis hurt and you wanted to go away only just to come back less than 24 hours later because, oh no, I'm facing consequences for the thing I did, heaven forbid. Sorry, that's life. What do you want from me? I'm not going to shield you from consequences, Mod, because I'd be a shitty person for doing so. Lol, no, I don't want my family seeing me obsessing over Mark. Well, there's plenty of streams where you haven't even talked about Mark or even brought Mark up, Mod. So if that was the reason why you wanted your streams taken down, there'd be plenty of your streams still up because plenty of your streams don't even mention Mark. Okay? You inevitably go back and remove all of your content all the damn time. And it's such a paradox for somebody to be so strongly opinionated yet so afraid to actually let those opinions stand for a prolonged period of time. If you're going to have opinions that strong, then why be so meek about actually standing beside them? This show sucks, by the way. No one cares about our stupid drama. Well, if nobody cares about our stupid drama, then nobody would be here watching right now. And I'm talking about it right now because you did it to me. What do you want from me? You're the one that decided that you were going to go and pull this bullshit and not even bother to fucking say anything about it whatsoever. I literally only do this for Mark. Well, good for you then. Good for you, Mod. If you only do this for Mark, then that's fucked up. And you need to get help. Is what you need to do, quite frankly. All right? This parasocial relationship that you've had with Mark for all this time is fucking sick. All right? It's sick. There's no excuse for why it's gone on for as long as it has, and you need to get help for it. Okay? If you're only doing this for Mark, then that's not on me, is it? That's on you. Bring it, Aiden. I fucking did you a favor. I made all that shit for you and let you use my shit, and this is the thing. I literally prefaced this entire thing by explaining that, by the way. I literally prefaced this entire thing by giving you credit where it was due, by giving you credit for doing all of those things for me. I made everybody perfectly well aware of that, and I am still extremely grateful for all those things. But just because I'm grateful for all those things doesn't mean that I don't have the right to come on here and point out that what you did was bullshit. All right? If you really were moving on, by the way, if that was true... Pardon me. Let me just take a quick sip of something to refresh myself. But if that was really true, right? and you are taking a break, then what are you doing here? What are you doing here? I didn't make you aware this was going on. I didn't tag you. Not because I didn't want you to find out about this, but precisely because I was trying to respect your rule of not wanting to come onto the community. You said you don't want to get involved here anymore, and here you are. Why? I thought you were taking a break. I thought you were moving on. But oh wait, you're the person that constantly does that shit. You constantly flip-flop on shit like this. And like I said, how else am I supposed to interpret except saying that that's the reason why you constantly go back and remove your shit? Because you do, Mod. I'm sorry. Everybody has seen it. What I want. Yeah. Yeah, I know. For the umpteenth time, you can't actually deal with the points that I'm saying, so you're just going to repeat the same platitudes you've already repeated to yourself 82,000 times before. I'm butthurt because I can't have everything I want for free. See? You see? See, if I was saying that, right? If I got on here and said, hey, everybody, how's it going? My name's Aiden, and I'm butthurt because I just want everything for free, and I want everything to be given to me for no cost whatsoever, then that'd be a pretty easy argument to refute, right? That'd be pretty easy to go up against, which is why she's saying it. Because she can't actually deal with the arguments that are being made to her right now. So instead of dealing with the arguments that are being made to her right now, she's just putting words in my mouth where they didn't exist. You know? I never said that. I gave you credit for what you did. And the things that I'm pointing out right now aren't that you don't have a right to do that. It's the fact that the way that you went about that was bullshit. And you haven't said a single thing in response to that. You're just fucking fighting the straw man and shadowboxing against ghosts. Good for you. I hope you do well. Good for me. I'll flip right now. See, that's exactly what I mean. If you want to take pride in flip-flopping around and not being consistent with things, then you're not exactly going to be somebody that I'm going to rely on, right? You're not going to be somebody that I'm going to view as a trustworthy source if you're just going to take pride in flipping and flopping around on whatever issue you want to have a fucking dispute on in that in that given moment. You just got triggered over me saying I did this for Mark. That's fucking real weird. That's fucking real weird. No, you know what's fucking real weird, Mod? The thing that's fucking real weird is having an extremely obsessive parasocial relationship with a man that hasn't even fucking bothered to say anything to you except the one time that he came into your chat. By the way, I asked Mark about why he did that, and he said he immediately regretted doing it because it had showed up on his feed for 3 separate times. And he just kept trying to click off of it, and it was still there. So he figured, what the hell, I'll go in there and say something. But he immediately regretted doing it, and I can't blame him. Because, Mod, you, like, the relationship that you have with Mark is extremely fucking weird. If a man was doing the exact same thing to a woman, everybody in this community would immediately label it as creepy. But because you're a woman doing it to a man, it's almost viewed as, like, funny or endearing or something like that, when that's just such bullshit. If it was the exact opposite, if you flip the genders around and Mark was doing this to you, everybody would be going, hey, Mark, why don't you leave Missing Mod alone? She hasn't talked to you for an extremely long time. This is really fucking weird. But no, because you're a woman doing it to a man, then all of a sudden it's different. You don't have a relationship with Mark? No, but you desperately want one, don't you? Isn't that what this is all about? Isn't that what this whole thing is all about? I don't even have to go back and cite specific examples because you know what I'm saying is true. All right? So if you want to bring up Mark and you want to bring Mark into all of this, which, by the way, don't you try to fucking go back after the fact and say that I brought Mark into this, because if you wouldn't have brought him up, I wouldn't have even mentioned Mark once over this entire thing. This was between me and you. So you brought Mark into all this bullshit, not me. We haven't spoken in years. No. And that's exactly what I'm trying to point out, is the fact that you haven't spoken in years and yet you're still as obsessed with him as you are is fucking weird. It is. All right? I had to change accounts so I don't hurt the ministry with your with my personal thoughts. You're welcome, Dan. Yeah, I mean, it is probably for the best when you're part of like a wider YouTube channel where you're not 100% sure who's talking in that given moment. Yeah, it's probably for the best. But really, Mod, all I wanted to talk about was the fact that you fucking rug pulled me, and you rug pulled me without explaining why. And you did that right after saying that I'm lucky for you not doing it. So if I was lucky for you not doing that to StreamYard, how could I be lucky for you not deleting the StreamYard, but also having been done a favor by you for doing it? That's another great example of a classic contradiction. Somehow I'm lucky in this time period where I was still in the StreamYard, but also lucky for the fact that she had removed me from the StreamYard at the same time. Funny how that works. I guess in terms of missing Mod, the quantum superposition makes sense because she can constantly inhabit two different positions at the same time and still somehow think that they're consistent amongst each other. Well, I'm sorry that you hate me. I'm sorry that you hate me. That's unfortunate because I don't hate you. I don't hate you. I never have hate you. And I don't intend on hating you. I didn't do this because I hate you. I did this because I would do this if any of my friends pulled this bullshit on me. All right? I'm not just going to let that shit slide. I don't care who it is. I don't care if Big Bad Mama did it. I don't care if Christian did it. I don't care if if Brianna did it to me. I would say something to her and say, hey, why the hell did you do that? That's bullshit. Right? Because you got two choices in life, Missing Mod, and everybody in the chat in general. You can either just stand aside in life and quibble and sit on your hands and wonder what the right thing is to do, or you can take action on the things that have happened to you in life and speak up about them, especially when you've tried like I did to try and resolve things in private and that doesn't work. Because you weren't willing to talk to me in private. I tried reaching out to you on multiple occasions this morning. We could have had this entire conversation out of the public lens, but you didn't want to do that. Well, this kicked my whole day straight into the ditch. I'm sorry, Pixie. I really am. I'm not trying to ruin your day. My day wasn't exactly improved by what had happened either, keep in mind. Also, Aiden, I don't think this should be public. Rest assured, Pixie, I tried. Right? You need to understand, I tried to keep this private. I tried to make sure that this wasn't brought to the public lens. Okay? I did my due diligence to try and make sure that this didn't get spread out into the public. But when she's claiming that she wants to take a break and that she's not going to be around anymore, and I try to reach out to her to try and settle things in private, and she doesn't get back to me, then what conclusion am I left to be made except, what the hell? Some people wake up and drink coffee. Aiden wakes up and throws grenades into his neighbor's pool. Hey, man, sometimes you just got to live that way, all right? Sometimes you wake up and you're in a nice, sunny, idyllic, Elysium-like paradise. And sometimes you wake up in Fallujah, my friend. The key in life is to recognize where you are and act appropriately. That's all I'm trying to do. I'll never take advice from a little drug addict kid who has nothing but an ungrateful piece of shit. You see, this is what I'm talking about, right? Because if you always had that in your mind that I'm a drug addict, which, by the way, if smoking weed makes me a drug addict, then I guess you're just as much of one as me. So, I don't know, something, throwing stones in glass houses, right? As far as I'm concerned. But if you always had that opinion that I was a drug addict, funnily that it's just kind of funny that I'm only hearing about that now, right? It's funny that I only hear that now. You know, there's a movie, Ikiru, right? Love that movie. And there's something that the artist says in the bar in that movie to the main character of that movie. The main character, his name's Mr. Watanabe. And there's an artist in the bar, and he says to him, you know, there's a certain nobility in suffering. And that nobility comes from the fact that suffering is the quickest way to find out the truth in things. And isn't this kind of an example? By ripping the Band-Aid off and exposing what happened for what it was, now Maud is telling me what she really thinks about me. And that's a perfect example of exactly that. I guess there is, in fact, a quick path to truth through suffering, isn't there? Because trust me, if you think I'm enjoying talking about this right now, if you think I'm having a good time right now doing this shit, I'm not. I'm not. This is actually not what I wanted to talk about today at all. I didn't have this on my agenda whatsoever. But you know what? If people are going to act a certain way, and I'm not able to resolve how they acted in public, what choice am I left with? For how long? Well, you see, that's just the thing, though, Pixie. For how long would be a lot more of a factor. I would have given her a lot more time and a lot more grace if she hadn't already made the statement that she doesn't want to be around or say anything anymore. She's the one that came out and said, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to say anything. I just want to completely divorce myself from this community, right? So after trying to call her and reach out to her, and literally the thing didn't even ring, right? When you try to call somebody on Messenger and they actually have the connection properly established, then it will ring. But when it doesn't ring, that usually means one of two things. That usually means that the person has muted you and just doesn't want to speak to you without having fully blocked you, or that person is offline, right? And given, and not offline as in like just away from keyboard, I mean like hard offline, like they don't have an internet connection or something like that. And given the context of what Maud was talking about to me, it was pretty obvious at that point that she had just muted me and that she didn't want to speak to me at that point. That was the message that I had been given, was that she didn't want to speak to me anymore, and she just left me with this, with no explanation whatsoever. So what conclusion am I left to come to at that point, except go, well, guess I got to talk about it here now. And Claude, I'll remind you don't like me, and I don't owe you a single response. Make up whatever you want. You're good at that. Who are you talking to there about that? What are you two even fighting about? I explained it at the beginning, tacos. I explained what was going on at the very beginning. If anybody wants further context as to what's going on, you can go back and watch for yourself. I encourage you to do so, but I've said my piece as far as this is concerned. I guess as a closing statement, I would just say that this is the paradigm that exists now, Maud, where you take out your anger and you take out your frustration on your friends, which is what happened, is bullshit. Okay? I think it's bullshit. I don't think it's fair. And I'm not going to put up with that. I'm not going to put up with it without saying anything. Because I'd be a hypocrite for doing so. I'd be a hypocrite for calling out somebody for their actions and then just ignoring it because the person that's doing it happens to be my friend. I know this isn't going to increase my good graces with you whatsoever. And fine. If that's what has to happen for me to actually articulate and express this shit, then so be it. You started it. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. You were the one that decided that you were going to do this without even explaining it or saying anything about it whatsoever. No, the big deal is the fact that she made it seem like it was something that I should be grateful for, that I still have it, and then she removes it without saying anything whatsoever. You see, no, Big Bad Mama's right. I shouldn't endlessly respond to this. I shouldn't endlessly respond to this, because then the whole stream is just going to become this. And I don't want the whole stream to just be this. I've said everything I need to say. Maud, I do not hate you. I never have hated you, and I will not hate you. All right? You are my friend. If you don't want to be my friend anymore, then that's your choice. I'd never take that choice away from you. But I consider you a friend. And it's precisely because you are my friend that I hold you to such a high standard. Okay? I wouldn't give a shit about any of this if it was some random person. I wouldn't care. It's precisely because you're my friend, and it's precisely because I care about you that I got pissed off about this. At least we're still friends, Steven. Why are all the YouTube friendships ending in 2026? You tell me, dude. You tell me. This is the age of the broken friendship, unfortunately. No. This isn't because of that at all, Tacos. This isn't because of that at all. No. If this was because of something that happened a while back, then I would have tried to talk about it with her in private then. But I didn't even have an issue with that. Because whatever, if she takes that and gives it to somebody else on a temporary basis and whatnot, that's perfectly fine. I don't care about that. What I cared about was the fact that one thing was said and another thing was done. And now I'm hearing a bunch of alternative reasons as to why that was done here rather than in private. But that's all. That's all. Anyways, I'm going to move on to my first segment today. And, oh, I don't even have it pulled. I had everything else pulled. And I didn't even have Trump without Trump pulled. Everybody that's just here for the drama, fuck off. Everybody that's just here because they wanted to see me get upset at missing Mod, fuck off. That's over now. You can go do something else with your day. Thank you for your watch time. Go do something else. Because that's over now. Let's see. Here we go. This is going to be a good one. Trump without Trump. The affordability scam. Here we go. Oh, I've got it muted.
You won't have to listen to his voice.
Let's go back.
It's Trump without Trump. You won't have to listen to his voice or see his face. These quotes are unedited and 100% accurate. This is from a cabinet meeting on December 2nd, 2025. These are the words of the President of the United States of America. But the word affordability is a Democrat scam. They say it, and then they go on to the next subject. Everyone thinks, oh, they had lower prices. No, they had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Now, some people will correct me because they always love to correct me, even though I'm right about everything. But some people like to correct me, and they say 48 years. I say it's not 48 years, it's much more. But they say it's the worst inflation that we've had in 48 years. I say ever. But whether it's 48 years or ever, it's pretty bad. We had the worst inflation that we've ever had. Since last January, we've stopped inflation in its tracks. And there is still more to do. There's always more to do. But we will have it down to a very good level. Donald J. Trump.
It really brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it? It really brings a tear. Stands up at attention to listen to the leader. That's right. Everybody here in the chat, give a like for the President of the United States. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I want to see nothing but. We don't get 28,000 likes by the end of this live stream. It's just going to be Trump without Trump the whole time. No, I'm just joking. No, I'm just joking. Well said, sir. It's not his worst one. I'll give him that. I don't know. Maybe I should do a poll, honestly, because there was a lot of really, really bad ones that were done, right? Like, I would say that the ballroom one was probably him at his worst, at least of the ones that we've seen so far. I'd contend that the ballroom clip was probably the worst. If anybody has anything different to say in the chat, though, any other alternative opinions, I can poop my pants just like Trump. Listen here, tacos. You say that you can poop your pants just like me. Listen here. Nobody knows poopy pants like me. I've been pooping my pants since 1972. Breakfast tacos. You have no idea what shit really is. I know shit real estate. I know the right spot in a house where you put the shit to maximize the value. I know these things. I'm as powerful as Trump. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You know what we need to start doing? Taco derangement syndrome. You don't even have to change the acronym. You literally don't even have to change the acronym. It is still TDS. Taco derangement syndrome. It fits. The snake story was pretty bad. Yeah, the snake story was also pretty bad. Pretty bad, Big Bad Mama. I don't know though. It's the wandering around the room that does it for me about the ballroom. It's the wandering and the fact that you get to see other people's, like JD Vance's reaction that he has with little Marco. You got little Marco and JD Vance sitting either side of me. Much like the Virgin Mary and Jesus Christ, where God is seated in heaven. No, Trump doesn't know enough theology to know that. That's extremely out of character for Trump. He doesn't know that shit. This is the guy that when he was asked what his favorite part of the Bible was, he was like, I like all of them. I like all of them, really. All right. So I'm going to move on from Trump without Trump to an image that I found to be kind of funny. This is another one I found scrolling the Facebook. And it's crazy how Trump gets shit for being vaguely connected to Epstein, while Obama did a whole sit-down TV special with him 10 years ago, and nobody cares. And it's like, there are people in the comment section being like, I'm from like Pakistan, and I know that that's not Obama, that's Anthony Bourdain. That's in that fucking photo. But once again, it's just another example of that classic propaganda, right? It's that shit that, as long as you don't really think about it and just kind of glance at it, yeah, you can kind of be convinced that that's Obama, right? That kind of looks Obama-esque when you kind of squint and don't really look at it. So it's a real thing. It is a real thing, tacos. I can't dispute that. I can't dispute that at all. The next thing that I had pulled up was, how much is your soul worth to be an ICE agent? Because you got to think, right? In order to sell your soul to be a soulless Gestapo thug that goes and terrorizes the American public, surely that's got to come with some kind of major payout, right? I mean, like, if you're going to make a Faustian bargain like that, surely there's a lot waiting for you on the other side. But when a breakdown is really done over it, it doesn't equate to the same amount that you might think it does. Let's check it out.
That the ICE agents who sold out Americans, you know how they get the $50,000 bonus? It's paid out in increments of $10,000 a year. And the other thing is, if they leave early, they have to pay back that bonus. But let's just see how much extra money this actually is when you calculate it and break it down. So let's break it down. 10,000 divided by 12 months, that's about $833 a month, divided by 4 weeks. So that would be divided by 4, sorry, taking there. $208 a week, divide that by 5 days a week, it's about $40. $40 a day before taxes, so knock that down, so let's say another $12. So $28 is a day extra. That's what they're excited about, is $28 a day extra to go around and harass people and be the modern day schmatzy Gestapo on the streets. So
wow, $28 a day. What is that? That's like a decent meal at Red Lobster. For one decent meal at Red Lobster every day, you have sold your soul to be a government thug and Gestapo agent. Funny how that works. Wow. And you know what? Thing that was briefly mentioned there, the fact that it's $10,000 a year paid out over 5 years. I wonder why it's paid out over 5 years as opposed to just all being paid out at once. You know? I don't know. Why is that the case? It's almost like they want to get people in there for as long as possible, and they know that that job is so unsustainable and soul-crushing that if they did pay it out all at once, people would be leaving it in droves as soon as they got the payout. Oh, by the way, if you leave early, Let's say you get 4 years into your term as an ICE agent, and then all of a sudden you grow a conscience and go, oh, fuck. I actually don't want to be a government-sponsored thug. I actually kind of want to, like, not do that anymore. You got to pay it all back. You got to pay it all back. And in a country like America, where an emergency as small as $1,000 can devastate the majority of the population, something tells me that these guys are staying in ICE, because if they don't stay in ICE, their lives will be financially ruined. Right? Way to go. But isn't that the very nature of a Faustian bargain? Isn't that the very nature of selling your soul? Yeah, you got a direct benefit, but A, the benefit was a lot smaller than you thought it would be, and B, you ended up having to sell a lot more than you initially thought you did in exchange for it. So, way to go. Way to go. Hope it was worth it, is what I want to say as far as that's concerned. All right, moving on to our next thing. We've got a little bit of Israel content here. Just kind of going into the differences in terms of casualty rates that a country like Israel has created, and going into how much of a difference that has in terms of them versus other major conflicts. So let's take a look at that.
In World War II, the Allied countries had a 16 to 30% civilian casualty rate. The Axis powers had a 65% civilian casualty rate. The Guardian is reporting right now that in Gaza, according to the IDF's own internal estimates, they have a civilian casualty rate of over 80%. And I need you to understand that this is so much worse than just 15 to 20% more civilian casualties than the bad guys in World War II. The Allies, who wiped out 2 cities with nuclear bombs, even at the high end, if they had a 30% casualty rate, that means that for every 7 combatants that they killed 3 citizens. Or for every 2 combatants, almost half of a citizen. The Axis powers, the ones that created the camps, at a 65% casualty rate. That means that for every 3.5 combatants they killed, 6.5 civilians got killed. Or 2 civilians to 1 combatant. In Gaza, if we factor an 80% casualty rate, for every 2 combatants that Israel kills, they kill 8 citizens. That means that they are shooting through 4 citizens to get 1 combatant. A 15% civilian casualty rate difference at that end of the spectrum works out to double the amount of civilians that get killed. That means in World War II, if the Axis powers had an 80% civilian casualty rate, instead of 35 to 40 million civilians being killed by just their side alone, that number would be 80 million. There is no internationally defined acceptable casualty rate for a conflict because it's based off of military trade-offs. There is no threshold that's recognized where you have now crossed into a G-side because G-side is definitionally based off of intent. But if these numbers are correct, which again, the Guardian is reporting that these are based off of internal IDF database numbers, this would be the highest civilian casualty rate of any modern conflict that was not recognized as G-side. Israel has said if a single member of Hamas hides behind 4 civilians, we'll take that shot. The bad guys in World War II said they'd only shoot through 2. In World War II,
I don't know, just a little food for thought. You know, just a little food for thought. Also, keep in mind the fact that Israel is now debating a bill as to whether or not Palestinians should be given executions for the same crimes that Israelis would only go to prison for. Not an apartheid state, though. Definitely not an apartheid state. Not in the slightest. Like, give me a break. This shit right here. And by the way, just want to point out, he was quoting the IDF's own internal data saying that. This shit is indefensible. Okay? There's no way, shape, or form that you can defend a group that creates twice as many civilian casualties as the fucking Nazis. Okay? There's no way that you can do that. I know that there's plenty of people that try, but that doesn't mean that it's actually effective or that it actually works on anybody that hasn't already been overtly brainwashed into that shit to begin with. Right? So with that being said, the inhumanity on display for people that try to justify systems like this is much like the inhumanity displayed by people like this guy, who I'm about to show right now. Here it is.
That's right.
Yeah.
Gigi.
And he's the one who shot her and called her a
Bruce is
stupid
such
bitch.
a liberal.
You can't call yourself.
You
You cannot call yourself a Christian, Bruce, if you think that chick
Thank you.
deserved to
Thank you,
live.
Clay. Exactly.
You see, and just for context, they're talking about Renee Good there. That was Clay and C-Sal. And you know, I know Clay and C-Sal, and I know that the two of them, what they're fishing for there is outrage, right? They're fishing for me to listen to a statement like, you can't be a Christian and think that Renee Good deserved to not be shot and go, oh my God, that's so horrible. That's so awful. But you know what? I know that these are two people that don't have any actual principles that they stand on to begin with. So why would I get outraged and angry at that statement when I could just laugh at it for how abjectly retarded it is just on the face of it? Like, what a dumb thing to say. Oh, yeah, a woman that was just going to go pick up her kids, whose wheels were facing away from the agent, who's seen on video waving people away. Yeah, she deserved to get murdered. That's so sensible in a biblical worldview. But then again, this is the guy that's literally never done a Bible study that I've ever seen in his entire life. Never actually debated theology in any serious way. He's just one of those dumb fucks, right? That just like tries to occasionally put on the label of Christian every once in a while, just to like say some really dumb, heinous shit and try to dress that up as though the Bible somehow endorses it, you know? Like, when I talk about people that are fake Christians, him and C-Sal are some of the perfect examples of that. Because while C-Sal has done some bumbling, mumbling, stumbling excuses of Bible studies on YouTube, oh, I should cover one of those at some point. Because they're embarrassing. They really are. If there's a word that I would have for those things, it really is embarrassing. But, like, the idea that these things, right, like the shooting of this woman is somehow something that's required to be a Christian. I don't know. Last time I checked, Jesus never said, and thou shalt justify the murder of American citizens in the street. You know, I don't recall Jesus ever saying that. I don't know, though. That's the problem, though. When you become an edgelord like Clay, right? When you become somebody like Clay, and to a lesser extent Terry, right? Because Terry's kind of also an edgelord as well. You inevitably have to give away a huge part of your intellect to just kind of sell out to making really dumb fuck statements. And, you know, I think Terry has way more intellect than Clay, right? Don't get me wrong. So I think she's had to give up a larger chunk in order to try and act all edgy the way that she does. Not to say she doesn't have it, but she just kind of has to like turn it off temporarily. It just kind of has to go beep boop boop boo. You know when you're working a computer and a certain task on your task manager is taking up a high percentage of your bandwidth, and you don't end the task but you pause it just to kind of go, all right, let's just chill out on that RAM usage for a second, just pause that. That's basically what they do when they do shit like this. And it's just so funny to point that out for what it is, because you have to make dumb fuck takes in order to be an edgelord. It's just required. Those two things are synonymous with each other, because if you actually try to reflect reality for what it is, you kind of can't be an edgelord, can you? Such is the classic, he says classic Greek, but you know what, Achilles? I'd say that's a classic Greek tragedy, if you ask me. It's a Greek tragedy. The man and woman who gave up their intellect for a shred of internet attention for but one moment. Alrighty. Next segment I have here. This is every heated moment from Pam Bondi's judiciary appearance. Now, I'm going to try and avoid any of the parts that have specific news coverage of those things, because my last stream, it didn't get taken down, but it got copyrighted. And I don't know whether or not that like affects things on it, if it affects like the viewership of it or whatever. So I'll play it safe, and I'll only play the parts that are like publicly available for everyone else to play. Let's get into it.
Trick questions here. The American people have a right to know the answers to this. These are senior officials in the Trump administration. This is not a game, Secretary.
I'm Attorney General.
My apologies, I couldn't tell. By 2008, we knew that Epstein was a convicted sexual abuser. And we now know that Lutnick went to Epstein's Island in 2012. How was that not a deal breaker for the president? And why aren't you asking questions of the Commerce Secretary about what he saw when he was at the island, which he lied about not ever going to? Why are you not asking these questions? And I see that my time is almost expired, so I will say this. Do the right thing, Attorney General. Meet with the survivors. They have been asking for a year. Meet with the survivors. Do the right thing. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. The gentleman from South Carolina is recognized for 5 minutes.
May I have 20 seconds of his time?
So that'd be up to the gentleman, but
absolutely, Madam.
Thank you. Thank you. I was curious if you, Congresswoman, asked Bill Clinton that. Didn't see one tweet, not one. I didn't see one tweet when Joe Biden was in office about.
Oh, whoops, I was muted. Ha! They really all do make the exact same excuse, no matter what level they're on. Whether it's somebody that has just heard about it in passing, who just picked up a fucking passing interest in American politics, or the goddamn Attorney General, they all make the exact same excuses, don't they? What about Bill Clinton? And no matter how many times they're told in response, yeah, Bill Clinton's a piece of shit too, it doesn't matter because they'll just go back to it as though that's somehow not already been answered for. It's absolutely absurd.
Bill Clinton didn't ask Merrick Garland anything about Epstein, not once. When he was
weak sauce.
And also, I want the record to reflect that, with this anti-Semitic culture right now, she voted against a resolution condemning.
Oh, by the way, just for clarification, she's calling a person whose grandfather was a victim of the Holocaust anti-Semitic right there. Just want to point that out. Guess she probably should have done a little bit of homework on that. Oh, wait, she's only the Attorney General. Why would I hold her to that standard, right? Why would I hold her to the standard of somebody who would actually bother to fucking pick up a piece of paper and read something about the people that she's going to be grilling and calling anti-Semitic that actually explains their background and history? No, heaven forbid that fucking happen, right?
Be clear. Do you want to go there, Attorney General? Or do you want to go there? Are you serious? Talking about anti-Semitism to a woman who lost her grandfather in the Holocaust? Really?
The committee will be in order.
Talk to Jared Wise about anti-Semitism.
The fact of the matter is that you will be remembered as one of the worst attorney generals in history. An attorney general who has prioritized obstruction over justice, corruption over the law, fealty to the president over loyalty to the Constitution. And Mr. Chairman, I will yield.
Gentlelady yields. Gentleman from Missouri is recognized. Gentleman from Kansas, the Attorney General, former Attorney General, Mr. Schmidt is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and General Bondi, thanks for being here. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we talk?
I do. Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, my friend, for many years. I find it interesting that she didn't even want to try, Congresswoman Crockett, to ask any questions, because she certainly did not condemn her leader, Hakeem Jeffries, for taking money from Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein was convicted.
So BS says the Epstein thing points out this isn't a left versus right problem, not to say that she isn't deflecting. Oh, I agree that it goes beyond just a left versus right paradigm as far as who the people are that were there and as far as who the people that have been implicated in the files. Yeah, there's definitely going to be people on the left wing that are going to be implicated there. And it's starting to come out now. If you ever heard the 5 stages of grief, right? People like Pam Bondi are now coming out after the denial phase didn't work and the anger phase didn't work when they tried claiming that it was a Democrat hoax and that anybody that believed that the Epstein files had anything in them weren't people that should be following them. When the anger phase didn't work, they had to move on to bargaining. And that's where we're at right now, ladies and gentlemen. We're at the bargaining stage of the 5 stages of grief, because now they're starting to say, oh, if the files come out completely unredacted, then things as we know them will completely collapse because we'll have to arrest everyone. Well, fucking do it then. Fucking do it. I don't care. If it's literally fucking 90% of the people that run the goddamn country, that doesn't make them any less guilty, does it? That doesn't make the fucked up, horrible things that they did any less fucked up and horrible, does it? Arrest them all. And throw away the goddamn key, as far as I'm concerned.
And I will be brief to give you your time, Congressman. This is what she didn't want to talk about. Texas, from Cuba, convicted, homicide, arson, weapon offense.
Convicted. So what we talking about? Convict some of these perpetrators that rape these women that are sitting behind you that you refuse to even acknowledge they are here.
Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice.
Attorney General
Twice.
Bondi.
No, can I finish my answer?
No, I'm going to reclaim my time because I asked you a specific question that I would like you to answer, which is, will you turn to the survivors? This is not about anybody that came before you. It is about you taking responsibility for your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has done.
Members get to ask the questions, the witness gets to answer in the way they want to answer. The Attorney General can
That's
respond.
not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she doesn't like the answer.
Time.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked
didn't she ask Merrick Garland this twice?
I am reclaiming my time.
Yep. She could just literally think about that for a fucking second, right? Just think about that. Literally all that she would have to do to be able to suffice what is being asked of her is turn her fucking head and look at the people who got victimized by this fucking monster. That's all that she'd have to do, but she can't even summon the fucking will to do that. Because I guess there might just be some little shred of humanity left in that fucking empty suit, huh? Even though those eyes look empty, even though you just overtly project the image of a soulless woman, Pam Bondi, at this point, there might just be a little spark left in there. Because even you couldn't turn around and face those fucking people. And that says everything it goddamn well needs to, doesn't it? Because, oh, is this an emotional argument? You can make that claim all you fucking want. But think about the logistics of what is being asked right now. Because the sum total of those logistics is the craning of one's fucking neck. And she can't even be bothered to do that. Heaven forbid that get commented on, right? What a fucking sick joke.
And when I will reclaim my time,
Mr. Chairman, the gentleman reclaiming
I'm not going to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
The time belongs to the gentlelady. The gentlelady has 17 seconds.
Thank you. You're not going to answer this question, so let me just
Chairman,
say this.
I'll direct it to
what
you.
a massive
No, I'm
cover-up.
answering a question.
Chairman, will you restore her time? The witness is
I'm not going to get in
interrupting.
the gutter with this woman. She's doing theatrics. Chairman
many
Jordan,
have you
I'm
indicted?
not going to get in the gutter with these people,
How many
but
have you-
I'm going to answer the question.
How many of you indicted? Again, the time belongs to
my time.
The time belongs.
I think it's very interesting.
my time.
I think it's very
Reclaiming my
interesting
time.
You can
that
reclaim
he
your
talks
time.
about they
Reclaiming my time,
indicted.
Mr.
The
Chairman.
president said they indicted him twice.
Mr. Chairman, please
They
stop the
sure
clock
did.
and
And
stop stop the clock and restore his time.
Okay, here we go with these
Committee will get in order. The time belongs to the gentleman from New York. We will give you a few more seconds. We will do that. But when you ask a question, the witness gets to answer. You may not like the answer, but she gets to answer. The question was, how many of Epstein...
They don't like the answer, Chairman,
my time.
because it's honest. So he asked a 4-minute question.
Restore 45 seconds.
I noticed that's important to you, Aiden, because Trump is in office right now. I haven't heard anything about these files or not. What? Now you only have a problem is when Trump is in office? Dude, you know what, Dustin? In order to dispel this myth that you perpetuate all the goddamn time, that I just somehow only care about the Republican Party and I'm only critical of the Republican Party and only critical of Donald Trump, I think I might go find the stream that I did with AJ talking about the presidential debate between Trump and Harris. And I'll go back and play that whole fucking thing if you need me to, in order to just dispel any doubt whatsoever, because you keep trying to fucking prop up this straw man of what my words are. How about we go back to late 2024 and you can listen to what my words actually fucking were at the time. Sound good? Sound good? Is that acceptable to you? Or no? Are you just too emotional, like you always claim with me? Are you too emotionally invested in the idea that the guy that you voted for just couldn't possibly be this horrible person, right? You cast your vote for him. So you have it in your mind that because you endorsed this guy with your vote, that by proxy, you endorse everything that he did. And that's not true. I don't think that that's true. I don't think that's true of Daniel, like I already pointed out to you, a guy that did vote for Trump, but then later on when all this shit became so overwhelmingly obvious and the evidence became so overwhelming, which by the way is another thing, the overwhelming evidence implicating Trump isn't something that's always been out there because Trump hasn't had to cover this hard for these files being released as he has up until just recently. Has he, Dustin? So, yeah, there's a little bit of context there that's required, isn't there? Think about who's in office right now, because the only reason ever gives a shit is because Trump is in office. Yeah, okay, we'll see. We'll see. Because you know what, Dustin? When I reviewed the presidential debates, do you know who was in office? Do you know who was in office when I reviewed those presidential debates? Because it wasn't Donald Trump, as a matter of fact. It was Joe Biden. And I'll tell you what. We'll go and see how critical I was of the Democrats when they were in office. And maybe you can finally shut the fuck up about this stupid bullshit that isn't true. About how, oh, Aiden only covers for the Democrats, but then says everything about the Republicans because he dislikes Trump. Because that's a bunch of horseshit, Dustin. And I can prove to you that it is. We'll just see, though. You know what? Before I do, Dustin, in the same vein, let me just ask you. If I do go back and show you that, and I am super critical of the Democrats, let me just ask ahead of time, are you going to accept that? Or are you just going to move the goalposts some more and try to act like, oh, well, yeah, maybe you said that about Trump, or maybe you said that about Harris and Biden back then, but. No, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear the whataboutism. I don't want to hear the but. No. I want to hear from you right now. Are you going to accept that if I'm critical of them? Or are you just going to fucking shift it again? Aiden, I'll just change the channel. Yeah, of course you're going to change the channel, Dustin, because you can't deal with the actual reality of what's going on around you right now. I'm trying to actually pull back the fucking veil and show you what my words actually were. And what's your reaction to that? Oh, I'm just going to leave and go watch something else. Go ahead. No one's fucking stopping you. There's the door, bro. I'm not restricting you. I'm not telling you what to do. Do whatever the hell you want. Why don't we debate about it, Aiden? Because right now I'm covering this. And I'm covering it the way that I want to cover it. And if you don't want to fucking watch right now because you can't deal with it, bye-bye. See you later. Literally. You're pulling a Bruce right now, dude. You realize that? Do you realize that? For as much as you hate Bruce, which, you know, justified, don't get me wrong. You know what one of the things Bruce does all the goddamn time? He complains about how a show is being ran, and he complains about how the show is happening, but then he'll never actually leave. He'll just sit there and complain about it endlessly. I don't have a problem with you being here, Dustin. You're welcome to be here. Anybody is welcome to be here. Right? But at the same time, if you're going to bitch and complain and say that you're going to go watch something else, then either follow through with it or shut the fuck up. It's that goddamn simple. It really is. I'm not changing my mind, Aiden. If anything, I'm doubling and tripling down. Of course I know you're doubling and tripling down, Dustin. You're stating the obvious right there. You're stating the obvious, bro. I know that you're doubling and tripling down. Pulling a Bruce, that might have gone too far. Hey, I'm not saying he's exactly the same as Bruce. Don't get me wrong. Dustin is 187,000 times more respectable, and that's the biggest understatement of the year. But he is umpteen times more respectable of a person than Bruce is. But he's using a Bruce tactic right now. He is. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Because Bruce will pull the exact same shit. He'll complain about how his show is, and then just hang on to it endlessly. Aiden, you want to move the goalpost? Hey, I just asked you a simple question, Dustin. If I show you what my opinions were back in 2024 and compare and contrast them to now, and those opinions are in fact the same as far as being critical of the Democrats and Republicans, are you going to accept that? Yes or no? That's what I'm asking you. If you can't answer that, then I think that kind of says something, doesn't it? All right, let's keep going with this. I'm going to finish this out, and then I'll tell you what, Dustin, just for you, after I'm done playing this, I'm going to go grab the video that me and AJ did, and I'm going to go and do some reviewing of it, and we'll see what you have to say, right? I'm probably going to have to jump around a little bit to different parts, but I'll do it. No, you pick the time, you pick the subject for your debate. I'll pick a time, I'll pick a subject for my debate. We'll find what it means in the middle. No, Dustin, I'm asking you to just literally adhere to a simple standard right now, which is you are making the claim that I have changed my opinion, right? You're making the claim that I've changed my views and that it, or no, you're not even making the claim that I've changed my opinion. Pardon me. You're making the claim that I'm just trying to give a pass to the Democrats and that I only give a shit about this because it's Trump. And I've got multiple quotes from you in the chat to back that up, that you're making the claim that I only care about this due to it being Trump. So let's go back after this video and see whether or not that's true, whether or not the only people I'm critical of is Donald John Trump in the United States government.
Mr. Nadler, please, Mr. Chairman. I mean, you can let her filibuster all day long, but not on our watch. Not on our time. No way. And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
The penguin. It's a good commentary, Reexamination. You see, people like Reexamination are valued members of the community because they're sitting here in the chat, and while I'm going after Dustin, he's going scanning room for funny commentary. He's commenting on things that I missed, and that's appreciated. Thank you, Reexamine. Oh, there we go.
Oh, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
You're a lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Committee will be in order.
Time, and I should get back at least 45. Will you create a joint task force of the Department of Justice and governors and state attorney generals and district attorneys across the country to investigate the crime?
No, I could give a shit less about your position with the Democrats. Yeah, you do, though, Dustin, because the thing is, your entire fucking criticism hinges on the idea that I'm only doing it because it's Trump. The best way to disprove that I'm only doing it because of Trump is to show that I make the criticisms of other people, even Democrats. I think that's what you're missing. I think that's the fucking disconnect here. Is that you somehow want to make this only exclusively about Trump, but then you want to also make the claim that I'm only doing this because it's Trump. And I'm sorry, but if you're going to make that claim, you open yourself up to wider context. Because obviously the only way that I can convincingly disprove that notion that I only care about this because it's Trump is by showing you other examples of other people doing exactly that or doing things similar to that, being corrupt, being fucking liars, overtly fucking feeding the American people a bunch of bullshit that isn't true. I have no problem calling that out when that's them. So you can't fucking say that you don't give a shit about my criticism of the Democrats and also say that I'm only doing this because of Trump, Dustin. It's a bunch of bullshit. You can't say that I'm only doing it because of him and then give me no ability to be able to show you the wider context.
Crimes that have taken place against these victims and more than 1,000 like them. The DOJ is not doing its job. Will you create a task force with state and local law enforcement to make that happen?
Gentlelady can respond if she wants to.
I don't have an updated chat here. I'm going over to my side chat right now, and it seems like it's a little out of date. It's not out of date. It's just because it's earlier in the chat. Fucking duh, Aiden. Aiden, what was your criticism of the Dems back in 2020, 2024? So my primary criticism of the Dems back at that point, and I can go back and review that in the actual video itself, is the fact that the Democrats are extremely similar to the Republican Party. They are extremely similar on a wide variety of different issues. They primarily only diverge on social issues, you know, issues like transgender rights, issues like gay rights, things like that. They diverge on social issues, but when it comes to actual policy issues, such as American foreign policy with countries like Israel, or American foreign policy as far as being hawkish in all of these different conflicts and trying to spread American interests to other countries by fucking using CIA operations to try and fucking overthrow governments, you know, all of those different things the American public has effectively no choice in voting on, because the Democrats and Republicans are effectively in lockstep when it comes to policy issues rather than social issues. And my other primary issue is the fact that rather than using social issues like labor, rather than focusing on labor and labor unions and strengthening the cause of the common working man, which is what people like Biden were supposedly supposed to be doing, right? People like Biden were campaigning on the, oh, I'm from Scranton, Jack. I'm going to come over here and we're going to give the unions a fair shake. We're going to give them a chance that we've never given them in decades, Jack. And you still have certain fucking, like, dyed-in-the-wool Democrats to this day trying to make the narrative that Joe Biden was the most pro-union president. It's a fucking joke. It's an abject joke. And it's not funny either. Because in reality, Joseph R. Biden didn't give a fuck about unions. He did the most bare minimum fucking hand-waving to unions he possibly could, and in reality basically just perpetuated a lot of Trump's anti-union corporatist policies, right? So my issue was that while the Democrats were focusing on social issues rather than focusing on policy issues, they were also focusing on only social issues that were contentious at the time, that would get them a lot of votes and would get them a lot of political capital, rather than the ones that are most important, like labor issues and labor advocacy. Because it's with strong labor unions that the middle class actually has a chance to make a little bit of a recovery and a bounce back. It's no fucking coincidence that we've seen a simultaneous shrinking in union power, a shrinking in the amount of companies that have unions, and a shrinking in the and stagnation of the American wage, right? The federal minimum wage has been the same since like what, 2008? Maybe a little earlier, give or take a few years. It's like $7.25 an hour. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because the bargaining power that America has as a collective, as a citizenry, has been reduced as time has gone on. And people like Joseph R. Biden never ended up bolstering those causes. At very best, he just kind of stood aside and did nothing and allowed Trump's policies to continue. So They weren't Democrat enough as the main. No, my problem is that the Democratic Party as an institution is just fucking broken. Fuck the Democratic Party. As far as I'm concerned, the Democratic and Republican Party have become hollowed out institutions for the American elite. They both don't represent the interests of the American people. They're both only barely palatable to the vast majority of the American people, and are only barely palatable because they recognize that if enough people woke up to the idea that these parties were fundamentally broken, they would start putting their votes elsewhere en masse. And what do they do then? Then the crackdowns have to start becoming more overt, and the mask has to start slipping off. Because let's face it, what did George Carlin say fucking 30 years ago? They're in a big fucking club and you ain't in it. All right? That's the reality of the situation. At the end of the day, these Republicans and Democrats agree on over 90% of all of the issues that actually fucking matter in society. Like I said, the only reason he's talking about the Epstein files right now is because Trump is president. Okay, Dustin, you know what? You keep screaming that into the void, dude, because I've already addressed that as much as I reasonably can. If you want to take pride in standing behind an abjectly inaccurate position, then go ahead, dude. Go ahead and be the guy that claims that the earth is flat, even though it's obvious that it's fucking round. Be my guest.
Thank you, Chairman. He called Chase Mulligan a wild goose chase and didn't even know who he was. He is a defendant in your own district who preyed on girls.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, you know what? If he were part of the Epstein investigation, you wouldn't do anything about it.
Online chat rooms and committed sextortion. Yet he didn't even know in your tiny little district who he was.
Mr. Chairman, she's embarrassing you.
He's about to be
This is your committee, and she is embarrassing you.
It's my time. Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question. Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
There was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed as a
4,700,
co-conspirator.
and we invited you in.
Show the video.
This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get.
Calling a Republican a guy with Trump derangement syndrome. Thomas Massey, a Republican. Yeah, he's got Trump derangement syndrome. You know what Trump derangement syndrome is? It's just like woke, right? It's one of those terms that the right wing came up with just to try to dismiss a form of argumentation without actually really having to do the heavy lifting of arguing against it. Because when your opponent is doing something that you don't like and you don't really know how to criticize it properly, just call it woke. And if somebody's criticizing the policies of the American government, well, just claim that they have Trump derangement syndrome. Because when you actually ask these people for a specific definition of either one of those terms, you always get a different one, depending on who you talk to. You don't get a consistent definition, right? If you go to somebody and you ask, hey, what's a house? Most people are going to give you some form of, oh, it's a dwelling. It's a structure that people live within for prolonged periods of time or temporarily, depending on their conditions. You know, they use it as a space for habitation. You're going to get pretty similar answers. When you ask somebody, what is a house? Or what is a stool? You know? But for some reason, what is Trump derangement syndrome? Or what is woke? You always get 182,000 different responses based on the 182,000 different people that you asked. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And Dustin's using it right now. He used it earlier in the stream. Trump derangement syndrome. Give me a definition, Dustin. Because I'll write it down. I'll write down your definition of Trump derangement syndrome. And the next person I ask is going to have a completely different definition. You know why? Because it doesn't actually fucking mean anything. It's just one of those buzzwords that's become completely fucking boiled down to being a useless platitude. That's exactly what it is. That's the word I've been looking for. It's a fucking platitude. Go look up what a platitude is if you're not. I'm sure you're aware, Dustin, but for the sake of the audience, a platitude is a word that's been used so often to the point where it effectively means nothing at all. Hey, I didn't say they were four-walled BS. You calm down. I learned, all right? I adapted. All right? Improvise, adapt, overcome, bitch. That's what that shit's all about. You can't stay the same when it comes to that stuff. You got to be able to roll with the punches, go with the flow.
Failed politician.
Oh, that was basically all of it. Alrighty. So, what do we have next? Covered that. Right. I have this to cover next. So, if anybody has heard, Trump RX has been a new recent thing that's been unveiled. As a matter of fact, a gaytard preteen actually announced it as the king, making a very important announcement. Funny that, by the way. I thought that your country was supposed to not have those. I thought you guys took pride in not having a king, but oh, whoopsie daisy, a huge majority of you kind of cucked yourself out to the king at this point, haven't you? No, it's okay, King George. You can bend me over and savage me arse all you want. All right. If you want to cuck yourself out to a dude that'll never know your name, go ahead, bro. But it's pretty un-American, isn't it? It's kind of fundamentally un-American. Anyways, Trump RX. Let's listen to an actual doctor's opinion about Trump RX as opposed to Trump. Because, surprisingly enough, Trump is going out there going, Trump RX, it's the greatest thing ever. Nobody's seen anything like it, folks. People are going to be able to get medicine far more cheaply on Trump RX. Go ahead, folks. Check it out. Okay. Let's see what an actual American healthcare professional has to say about Trump RX, folks. Oh, got it muted. That's the thing. Facebook always has these muted by default, so you gotta keep that in mind.
Y'all, Trump RX is so stupid. Find the world's lowest prices on prescription drugs. This looks good, right? So you click on it, and what is that down there? Prices up to about $500 a month. And then our Medicare patients aren't even included. Our Medicare patients are the ones being price gouged. And they also can't co-bill with the manufacturer coupon. Look how stupid this looks. Oh my god. It's like the movie Idiocracy. GoodRx will literally give you a better price. Y'all,
it really is like the movie Idiocracy, by the way, when you think about it. I think Maud would appreciate that, by the way. Maud's always the one quoting Idiocracy. I agree with that assessment. Hopefully she would as well.
Being price gouged. And they also can't co-bill with the manufacturer coupon. Look how stupid this looks. Oh my god. It's like the movie Idiocracy. GoodRx will literally give you a better price. Y'all, and these drugs are so random. Why do we have brand name Protonic? You can literally get it for $10 already. I only had one patient on brand name Loxil. Why is Zerontin on here? Ethosuximide is $43 with the GoodRx. This drug is just so random. It's for absence seizures. I feel like Trump just Googled random medications and threw it on this website. I'm also gonna mention that the Nicotrol branded inhaler was taken off the market. This bitch was discontinued in 2023. Why is it on his website? We got brand name Diflucan too. What? What is going on? And then I scroll to the bottom. Last but not least, a generic medication? What? Aren't these all supposed to be brands or something? What? This is $25 through Lilly Direct, which it's also crazy that Eli Lilly could make the brand and the generic at the biosimilar. Y'all, I'm gonna be so real. Trump RX is a money grab. How does GoodRx work? We're gonna make this long story short. There's these things called pharmacy benefits man.
You can't tell me. You really mean to tell me that the grifting billionaire that has a history of doing nothing but starting businesses only for them to go under because they're revealed to not actually either serve anything of any quality or do it so poorly compared to their competition that they immediately get competed out of the market? You mean to tell me a guy that has a history like that started a website that ostensibly was supposed to help people get cheap medication, but it's actually a fucking piece of garbage? Oh my god, I can't believe it. I can't believe the guy that literally has fucking messaging campaigns sent out to elderly people, which, by the way, this is a little tidbit that I've got to go and cover at some point in the recent future. Let's talk about the fact that Donald Trump, the guy that supposedly cares so much about the American elderly, has fucking messaging campaigns sent out all the time to elderly people, specifically targeting them, going, hey, It's your buddy Donald Trump speaking, like trying to talk to them like they have a personal relationship with each other, and then going into how he needs your personal support in order to help him with all of these different campaign financing. Like he literally plays on these people's, as Big Bad Mama put earlier. I'm going to read that out. TDS, a diagnosable medical condition in which the afflicted blindly follow Donald Trump, aka the chosen one. The afflicted is incapable of free thought, unable to critically evaluate the actions of any criticism of dear leader, or otherwise accurately perceive the world around them, rather. The mindless adoration of President Trump is so intense as to impair the person's judgment. Additional symptoms include blind hatred of those who preach tolerance and deference to veritable facts, as opposed to whatever dear leader or his surrogates tell them to believe. Many people in conservative echo chambers have an incorrect impression of Trump derangement syndrome while suffering from it themselves. Oh my gosh. It's so funny. Oh my god, this is what proves Trump's a Nazi, because he's trying to make money. I totally admit you were right the whole time, Aiden. No, this doesn't prove that he's a Nazi. I mean, you can prove that Trump is a grifting, money-grubbing piece of shit without having to prove that he's also trying to supplant American governmental institutions that are critical of him. You know, by arresting journalists and by trying to defund public broadcasting that's independent of his influence, like PBS and NPR. Shut all that stuff down and rename major public monuments in his honor, like the Kennedy Center, named it the Trump Kennedy Center, like a fucking joke. Defaced major parts of Washington to put up statues of himself, a giant golden statue for himself, build a giant bedecked attempt to mimic the Louvre, but except if you have no taste whatsoever, you know, not the Louvre, pardon me, Versailles. That's really what he's trying to go for with the vibe of that ballroom, by the way. Do you really think, Dustin, when you look at the Oval Office, right, and you look at it bedecked in all of this gold, and you look at all these golden motifs that he has all over the place, do you really get the impression that when he's the first president to do that, that he's really one of the he's one of the little guys? He's really looking out for the little guys. That's why I've got to plate all this stuff in Home Depot stuff that I put a layer of gold on top of. Sir, aren't these hangings and trappings you have and trimmings in the White House? They look suspiciously like items from Home Depot. That can't be the case. Just because they're exactly identical to things that Home Depot sells doesn't mean that I just put a thin layer of gold over them. Which is so emblematic of Trump's presidency, isn't it? It's just this thin facade over top of this cheap, reproducible piece of garbage. It's so funny. Yeah, Trump is bad, Dustin. And the fact that you're not willing to be critical of him is also pretty un-American when you think about it. I haven't heard you make one fucking criticism of the man whatsoever. You haven't been critical of it at one point. Isn't that funny? How I'm able to endlessly be critical of the Democrats, and Dustin doesn't accept that, but he's able to endlessly claim that I only care about this because it's Trump, and yet he can't muster one actual criticism of Donald Trump to save his life. Watch, he won't do it either. He won't do it. He can't muster it. Let's hear him, Dustin. Let's hear your primary criticism of Trump's presidency right now. Let's hear them. Because something tells me that it's not going to happen. I might just be prophetic about that. But you know what, Dustin? All you can do to prove me wrong is just give me some criticisms. A billionaire gets in the office when it's with the presumption that he can't be bought. A poor man gets into the office and the first accusation is that he's being bought off. Yeah, of course. Defending Trump. Yet again, I ask you to make a criticism of him and you just jump to his defense for the umpteenth time. What a fucking shock. What a shock. No, I can't. Dustin, you can't criticize me, Dustin. Don't you dare. If you criticize me, then the arm I've got up your ass is going to start twisting, let me tell you. And that's not going to be very pleasant. I'll tell you right now, Dustin.
Even though it's one of the most fundamentally American things to criticize the President of the United States, seems like Mr. Buck is incapable of making one single criticism of me whatsoever. Isn't that funny, folks?
Managers of PBM are in the middle between your pharmacy and your insurance. They're super greedy and give shit reimbursements to pharmacies. So they jack up the price of things. They super inflate it. Instead of saying, hey, this drug costs $9, you're like, I'm gonna give you $2. They say this drug costs $500, and I'm gonna give you $200 for it. X is basically able to bring down that super inflated cost and pocket some of that money. But yeah, Trump or X just like looks super stupid. The drugs are random. They're more expensive than Good or X. And then like some of them aren't even on the market. It's touted as this thing that we're doing for the people. But like, it's not for the people. They're making money on it. Oh my God, do you know what I just realized? These aren't brand name medications because they're expensive for people and they want them. They're only brands so Trump can funnel business to Big Pharma. That's why like the only generic one on there is also owned by Lilly. Y'all, this is insane. Y'all, Trump or X is so...
No, they can't be just trying to enrich other major American mega corporations. That's impossible. I can't believe that this guy would attempt to enrich all of his buddies while he's in power. I'm sure that he doesn't have any interest to do that whatsoever. I'm sure any time that one of Trump's rich buddies came to him and was like, hey, Trump, could you give me a major kickback? Could you give me a really unfair tax break? Or just like... totally forgive all of my debts outright. I'm sure he never once was like, no, I can't do that, Elon. Sorry. I can't do that because I'm Donald Trump, a man of principles. I'm implacable in those principles. I cannot be bought. It's true. The guy that has a reputation of endlessly being corrupt, he cannot be bought, folks. It's ridiculous. By the way, everybody that's watching the stream right now, be sure to give the stream a like if you're enjoying. It would be much appreciated. I'm going to move on to the next one here. Does systemic racism exist? Well, let's see a possible example of exactly that. And we'll evaluate it. Because, you know, I was talking about this just the other day on my channel. Trump University, the Donald J. Trump Institute, Trump Meme Coin, Trump Bible, Trump Steaks, Trump Airline. I don't know if you got that one. Trump Airline was also... totally bunk. There's shitloads of examples of Trump pulling overt scams on the American people. Trump neckties, folks. That's right. I've got Trump neckties. They'll cover the weird malformity that is my neck. You see that freaking neck? It's worse than a turkey neck. That is a vagina on that man's neck. And I'm sorry, Steven and Achilles. I know that you guys are like not necessarily super on board with that kind of language on the streams, but it's true. He's got a pussy on his neck. It's there. It's there for everybody to see. He got so pissed off over the fact that people know about it because I think Time magazine published a photo of him that like overtly shows it off. And he like bitched and complained about it on his Twitter. Time magazine, let me tell you folks, the horrible leftists over at Time magazine publishing unfair documentation about me. Some of the most slanderous things I've ever seen in my entire life. All right, let's get to the actual video, though. Yes, sorry. I was trying to tie all this together. Let me actually attempt to land the plane here, as Dean would say. I was talking about the other day when reviewing Terry on my channel that there is systemic racism that exists, right? The idea that white privilege exists on the level that certain social justice warriors or freaking radical people like that would try to push. I don't think that it's that overblown, but I think it is out there, and I think it's important to recognize it where it exists. And I think this is a pretty clear-cut, undeniable example of systemic racism and its perpetuation in American society.
I'm telling the truth. There's no systemic racism that I've experienced here in America. What system is racist?
Whew.
we gotta dive in because, man, I have an example. My name's Dr. Joel, the Medical Mythbuster, and today let's talk about systemic racism in medicine. To do that, I want to use the example of one specific device called a spirometer. Spirometry is a test that doctors use to measure how healthy your lungs are. It's used for conditions like asthma and COPD. But for decades, if you were Black or Asian, your test results were automatically adjusted downwards, making it harder to be diagnosed with different conditions. But to understand how that device plays into systemic racism, we have to rewind through history. Starting in 1795. It was then that Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, wrote in notes on the state of Virginia without evidence that enslaved Africans had weaker lungs than white people. Then in 1846 came along English surgeon John Hutchinson, who created the spirometer. He made it as a useful medical tool for measuring lung disease and military fitness. In the United States, a Louisiana doctor named Samuel Cartwright took that tool and used it on enslaved people. He claimed that the spirometer proved that Thomas Jefferson was right, that Black people had lower lung capacity. He even argued that slavery was good for them because forced labor supposedly revitalized their lungs. But here's where the systemic part comes into play. Instead of rejecting the myth, medicine absorbed it. By the 20th century, spirometers came with something called a race correction. If you were Black, your lung results were automatically lowered by 10 to 15%, and if you were Asian, by 4 to 6%. In fact, up until 2021, up to date, the world's most utilized medical reference by doctors still said that Black patients had lower lung function as if it were a biological fact. That race correction meant that what was labeled abnormal for a white patient could be labeled normal for a Black or Asian patient. That led to misdiagnoses, delayed treatments, denied disability claims, and less lung transplants. And the worst part, most doctors didn't even realize that race was adjusting values because it was built directly into the machine. It wasn't until 2022 that the Global Lung Function Initiative released race-neutral equations. And in 2023, the American Thoracic Society recommended a race-neutral approach to reading the pulmonary function tests. Some places are only now just phasing them out. That's what systemic racism is. It's not just one patient being dismissed by the healthcare system. It's racist ideas from 200 years ago, Thomas Jefferson's words, Samuel Cartwright's pseudoscience, being built into a machine and shaping healthcare for generations. Examples like these go far beyond medicine. Be sure to follow, like, and share because there's a lot more myths to bust.
So yeah, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. The only reason why I wanted to play that entirely uninterrupted, and maybe this stream might get like a copyright thing on it, and I don't know if that'll affect its engagement or whatever, but I wanted to just play that in its entirety because I didn't want there to be any potential to misquote or misrepresent what was being said there. It's the definition of systemic racism because, as he said, it's something that was built into the machines themselves and was automatically being adjusted without them even being able to put the inputs in themselves. That is the definition of systemic racism, right? So the thing that also helps to illustrate is that systemic racism is oftentimes not something as overt as Black people being forced to drink out of a separate water fountain, or Black people being forced to sit at the back of the bus, or Native American people being confined to reservations, or Chinese people being excluded on the basis of the Chinese Exclusion Act. You know, all of those examples, while being perfectly legitimate examples of systemic racism, are oftentimes the only ones that are cited in argumentation about systemic racism. And unfortunately, that's because, in my opinion, American society is extremely reactionary. They are not proactive, they are reactive. And they will only react to something when it's already reached a fever pitch, right? When it's already reached the point of no return, that's when they'll address things. And I think that this is a perfect example of that. Because if you went to somebody and you told them about this without giving them all of the facts and details and all of the background information that you just gave, right? That would be something that would be really hotly debated and contested. And you know what? If it was debated and contested just for skepticism's sake, then that would be one thing, right? Because skepticism is always healthy. It's always good to have a healthy dose of skepticism with any claim. But I think claims like systemic racism run up against especially strong skepticism by certain groups of people because those people just don't want to accept that as a fact. That just doesn't jive with their ideas of what America is And rather than facing up to what they are, they would rather just plug their ears and stick their heads in the sand. Runs to power cord, takes stream down. Somebody unplug it! Somebody shut him down, please. By the way, if you are liking the stream right now, I know I said it earlier, but please like it if you haven't already before. It would be much appreciated. It would give the channel a little bit of much needed engagement. And with that being said, I am going to review the last thing that I have on the docket today before I open the panel to everybody. Because yes, indeed, there is going to be an open panel. So, my final review subject today is NASA's Mars sample return is dead, leaving China to retrieve signs of life from the red planet. NASA's plans for Mars sample return are effectively canceled as part of a bill approved by the United States Congress ending efforts to collect Perseverance rover samples that could contain evidence of alien life. NASA's Mars sample return program has been effectively canceled, meaning that the best evidence of life on Mars could be trapped in rock samples that NASA no longer has the budget to collect. On Monday, January 15th, the United States Senate approved a spending bill that reverses the Trump administration's decision to have federal spending on science and slash the NASA's budget by nearly a quarter. Yet, the bill contains an exception. The Mars Sample Return Program, supposed to return rock samples collected by the Perseverance rover that may contain ancient signs of life, is still canceled. Quote, "The agreement does not support the existing Mars Sample Return MSR program," end quote, lawmakers wrote in an accompanying report published on January 6th. "There's no guarantee that life ever existed on Mars, but if it did, then the Perseverance rover may already have that evidence. This makes the new bill a major blow to those hoping to examine Perseverance's haul of more than 30 geological samples, which includes the samples of that NASA described as the clearest sign of life ever found on Mars." There's a link to that, by the way, and I'm going to link this article to everybody out there in the chat as well, so that you're able to read this for yourselves. I always try to do that, especially when there's accompanying articles embedded within it. I always try to link those as well, right? So, but bringing samples from Mars back to Earth was always going to be a costly endeavor. And the MRS program has been fraught with delays and spiraling costs. In January 2025, an independent review board calculated the price tag could swell to $11 billion, with samples not expected back on Earth until 2040. In a major overhaul of the program, NASA announced that it would pursue two different strategies for fetching the samples: a tried and tested landing system that deployed a rocket-powered sky crane at a total estimated cost of between $6.6 and $7.7 billion, and a commercial option whose price would fall somewhere between $5.8 and $7.1 billion. NASA planned to announce a decision between these options in the later half of 2026. Yet when the Senate's move ostensibly supports the White House's bid to kill the program, the funding bill could leave NASA space to revive the MSR. The bill, which recognizes that technologies developed as part of the MSR program were critical to the success of future space missions and human exploration of the Moon and Mars, allocates $110 million to the Mars Future Missions program, including existing MSR efforts for radar, spectroscopy, entry, descent, and landing systems, and translational precursor technologies. In other words, there's funding for some of the tech that the program was working to develop, while falling far short of the total estimated mission costs. The allocation of $110 million nevertheless gives hope to the future for sample return, according to the Planetary Society, which campaigns against the most severe proposed cuts to NASA's science program. Let's see how much more we've got left in this. Okay, we've only got a little bit more left. and then I'll finish this off and do my commentary, and then I'll open up the panel to everybody. Yes, indeed, Stephen, hit that like, fellas. Much appreciated. Thank you for throwing that out there. The new bill pledges $24.4 billion to NASA, with $7.25 billion of that assigned to the space agency's Science Mission Directorate. That means that Congress only cut the NASA science portion of the budget by 1% compared to last year, a significantly more modest reduction than the 47% cut proposed by the Trump administration. So, 47%, basically effectively trying to make NASA useless as a government entity. Where are we going to cut spending? Nah, fuck the fucking American military-industrial complex. We need to give more money to them to make sure that we develop a fucking fighter jet for $1.5 trillion. Make sure that that gets funding. But, the actual things that'll increase human understanding of our universe, which, by the way, is not the only benefit of space exploration, for people that might be wondering. People out there probably only think that space exploration is just done for exploration's sake. And while that is a perfectly noble endeavor for people to go and do, to go and try to find other aspects of our universe that exist that we wouldn't have known about otherwise, space technology has also helped people on the Earth as well. The pacemaker wouldn't exist in its modern form without NASA, right? How many people in your lives, people out there, do you know that have pacemakers? If they didn't have a pacemaker that could be I'm pretty sure that a modern pacemaker, it's like at least 5 years until you have to get them changed out, right? I think it's at least 5 years to a decade, if I'm not wrong. And before that, it was like 2 years. You need to go in and get a life-threatening operation every 2 years in order to stay alive with the pacemaker. And it was thanks to developments under NASA that allowed for the pacemaker to be more further refined. And countless lives have been saved as a result of that. And that's just one example of how this space exploration can develop technologies that can benefit us here on Earth as well. Inhabiting Mars won't save this world as much as the F-35 will, Aiden. Yeah, of course. Of course, right? Actually expanding human interests to beyond Earth. But that's the classic example, right? There's always going to be people that are going to say, nah, let's just keep things the way they are. We've got problems here, right? Don't go outside the cave, ugh. We've got cave problems to solve before you worry about what's outside of the cave. Well, it's the people that decided, no, we can worry about the cave problems, but we can also worry about stuff outside of the cave, right? We can expand our horizons, and we can do more, and we can expand our capabilities that allowed us to do little things like domesticate fire, right? And develop the bow and arrow, and develop the wheel, and develop complex society as we know it, and agriculture. All of that had to come from people trying new things and experimenting and pushing the boundaries of what we already knew as a species. And it's just that kind of innovation that is attempting to be stifled by a government that tries to cut science funding as much as they were trying to cut it by. I don't care what persuasion you are. I don't care if you're Christian. I don't care if you're atheist. I don't care if you believe the earth was created 6,000 years ago or created 4.5 billion years ago. The truth of the matter is, right? Science benefits all of us. It's because of science and scientific advancements that you're not eating moss off of a cave floor right now and wiping your ass with a fucking leaf. Okay? Everybody benefits from that. So the fact that that's being cut is a universally bad thing. Not just for America, but for the entire human race. Let's face it, America, unfortunately, is starting to fall behind in terms of the sciences internationally. There used to be a time where, and in many aspects, America still is the pinnacle of scientific advancement, don't get me wrong. But think about things like the Large Hadron Collider, right? America could have had a particle collider decades before Europe did. They could have been the ones that discovered things like the Higgs boson. They could have made major discoveries about particle physics, and those would have been attributed to American scientists. But the unfortunate truth is that after the space race, after the Nixon administration, America began to put science funding on the back burner. And as a result, other countries have started to push ahead. The truth of the matter is that there's no American equivalent to CERN. And you know what? You know how America managed to cover up for that? They managed to get people like the Koch brothers to fund a bunch of propaganda to be distributed out there. So now there's a bunch of people out there that are Americans that think that CERN is a black hole, or that it's going to create a black hole, or that it's dangerous. Oh, we don't have a particle accelerator, guys, but it's okay that we don't have one because it's dangerous. It's a bunch of fucking propaganda to try and excuse the fact. How is that functionally any different to the propaganda that places like Maoist China would distribute about how, oh, it's okay that we're not as industrialized as these other people, guys, because you can get a backyard furnace going and start melting down all of your farm equipment in your backyard. It's okay, guys. It's literally exactly the same thing as far as just trying to cope for the fact that you're falling behind. Other countries are starting to leapfrog ahead of you in terms of the sciences. That's just a fact. And given the fact that you're the richest country on the planet, you're trying in the face of that to cut your science funding even further and slip even further behind the pale? How is that not an example of you guys falling behind as a country just overall? It's unfortunate, but it's true. When you hold up a mirror to what's actually happening, it's a bunch of propaganda trying to mask what's actually going on. And what's actually going on is that you guys are facing a similar dilemma that the Soviet Union did, right? The truth of the matter is if you look at the computing power that the Soviet Union had available to it, the first and second generation Soviet computers were entirely of their own make and design, and they had no parallel in American computing. But you know what the problem was? They cut their funding to computing. They cut their funding to any form of cybernetics whatsoever, just our larger robotics divisions and automation. And as a result, Soviet computing was forced to ape other countries' technologies. They went from developing their own microchips to just copying what IBM had to sell. And as a result, they went from innovators in the field of computing to imitators in the field of computing. And America is starting to do just the same, even just in the field of particle physics, right? You guys are having to imitate what Europe is doing with your particle physics because you don't have the conditions to create the same environments. You don't have a particle collider, so you're forced to rely on European data. Does that benefit the sciences? Does that benefit scientific advancement? I don't think it does. Not in the slightest. Maybe Canada and Greece could team up to afford a high altitude weather balloon. That reminds me. Oh, fuck. What African country was it back in the 60s? I swear to God, you can look this up. Maybe this is just a total fucking fever dream that I had one day, but I swear to God, there was some, like, sub-Saharan African country back in the 60s that tried to compete with America in their space race, and really all that they got was like basically exactly that. They had some like weather balloons, and they had like a rocket that they sent up. No, they didn't even have a rocket. Pardon me. They had like a little model of a rocket. Pardon me. They didn't send a rocket. That's way too much. Because the infrastructure that it takes to build that stuff is absolutely obscene. I might totally be making that shit up, but I swear to God, that exists. That's out there. You can look it up. Let me guess. If the sky were to fall tomorrow, Aiden would be pointing his finger at Trump. You know what, Dustin? Let me tell you what my plan is, all right? Let me tell you my meteor striking the planet plan, right? Because I got one. I hope you have one as well, Dustin, because it's good to have contingencies. I've got a contingency if I hear that the nukes are about to drop. I got a contingency if I hear that an asteroid is about to strike the planet. I got a contingency if a giant solar flare hits the planet and all the electrical devices just suddenly go out, which, by the way, that could happen right now. But I guess the nuclear war could happen right now as well. I don't know, probably different likelihoods. But my contingency for the asteroid is while everybody else is like looting and fornicating without any restrictions and just totally letting loose in the final moments. And other people are like going and sheltering in bunkers and like, man, maybe if I go far enough underground, I might be able to avoid it. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to embrace it, Dustin. I'm going to go and find the tallest possible structure that I can get to before the asteroid hits. Whether we've got a few days and I'm able to get out to the Rocky Mountains and find the top of a mountain somewhere, or I've only got a few hours and I've got to just like break into a building and make my way up to the top of the building, because who fucking cares at that point, right? If I've only got a few hours left, what's the worst that's going to happen to me? I'm going to do everything I can to get to the tallest point, and I'm going to stretch my arms out and I'm going to welcome it. That's what I'm going to do. Because, like, what better way is there to go out? Let's be honest here. We're not a fucking top government official. We're not going to be sitting in some fucking NATO bunker in the Swiss Alps or some fucking Mark Zuckerberg bunker in New Zealand somewhere or something like that. I'm just going to embrace it, dude. Now, when it comes to zombies, that's another contingency plan. You got to have a zombie contingency plan, Dustin. Now, my plan for the zombies is if it's fast zombies, right? If it's like World War Z zombies up in that bitch and they're sprinting around for like 28 days later and they're like sprinting around because they got the rage virus, I'm just finding a gun, dude. And you can make the rest of the interpretation from there, because I'm only gonna need one bullet. I'm just gonna find my way out of that situation is what I would do then. But if it's the slow zombies, you know, if we're like Walking Dead up in this bitch, then maybe there's a chance. You know, I'd actually give it a go. I'd be like, all right, let's see how this works out. You know, let's see what world this becomes. That's my zombie contingency plan. Oh, my plan is the same as Aiden's. Avoid the apocalypse, die in the yeah. And I mean, my nuclear contingency plan is basically the same. Like, I'm going to, before the phone lines get cut off by like the government trying to restrict an overflow of phone line traffic, I'm going to try to contact my family and tell them that I love them. But after that, I'm just going to fucking go as close as I can to what I presume Ground Zero is going to be. Truth be told. Because let me tell you, all right? Go watch a movie. I don't encourage you to watch it. But if you're really curious as to what a post-nuclear world would kind of look like, go watch the movie Threads, right? That's what that kind of world is going to look like for the average person. And those are the lucky people. Those are the people that don't even get the worst of it in that movie. I don't want to live in that world. I don't want to live in that world. I don't want to live in a world where I have to club somebody over the head and kill them for a tin of beans in the best case scenario, and slowly wither away from radiation burns in the fucking ruined, bombed out hovel of my house in the worst case. You know, that just doesn't sound all that appealing as a sales pitch. So I'm just going to go and find where Ground Zero is and just embrace it, because I know at that point that it's just over. You know, it's just done. You don't have to worry about it. There's no pain. There's no suffering. You don't even your brain doesn't even have time to register what's happening, because you're just incinerated and it's over. Aiden, if you're interested in being on Ground Zero, what you do is you take a step out your door and head immediately south, because Canada's not a threat. You say that, dude. You say that, but there's infrastructure out here that America would go and use, right? And that's why I say that we would get nuked, right? I'm not saying that all that many places in Canada would get nuked even. I think Canada would be way less affected than the United States, but make no mistake, dude. If you don't think the Soviet Union and Russian Federation ostensibly don't have fucking nukes pointed at Canada, you are mistaken. Because they absolutely have that in mind, that America will just come and use our infrastructure and take that over and appropriate it for themselves. So, we'll just fucking throw a few nukes their way, too. We won't be as destroyed as you guys, but you don't think that we're also not going to have to deal with the nuclear winter and fallout that comes directly after that? Like, no thanks. I might go find a bank vault to hang out in. I mean, it's not the worst place. It's not the worst place. You might have to deal with some like early looters because there's definitely still going to be dumb fucks directly after the blast that are going to be like, I'm going to go rob a bank and get as much money as I can. You know, certain people are still going to do that. So you got to deal with those people. But I don't imagine that you have to deal with that all that long, you know? Aiden wouldn't have to worry about a meteor if he just stayed home. You know, there's actually you know what? I might play it one day. Now that this has been prompted, Dustin, there's literally a documentary detailing Canada's plan for like a nuclear war. I think it dates back to the 80s. So it's like during like the height of the Cold War between the US and Russia. So that might actually be an interesting watch because I'm pretty sure that's in the public domain at this point. I might give that a little bit of a review on one of these shows when I kind of run out of topics and just want something to kind of talk about for fodder's sake. Obviously, Aiden hasn't watched The Twilight Zone. I have not watched The Twilight Zone, Phantom. Truth be told, I have not. Aiden wouldn't have to worry about a meteor if he just stayed home. That's so true. All right. I just realized what time it is. I'm going to open up the show, guys. Thank you so much for being patient and sticking through all the reviews and everything like that. I appreciate it a lot. Let me just copy that invite link and throw it out in the chat because it's open panel time, motherfuckers. Your patience now pays off. And I got some things that I can keep going and reviewing on if I need to. But I have a feeling that I'm going to get some panelists on fairly soon. And we can kind of go from there. So I'll kind of vamp for a couple of minutes. What kind of plans do you people got out there in the chat? Any of you out there got any kind of contingency for if shit goes down? By the way, for the 11 people watching right now, if you're enjoying the stream, like would be much appreciated. Thank you. But yeah, share your fucking crazy apocalyptic contingency plans out in the chat. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to share my plan in detail because I've got things. I know people and I've got arrangements. So I don't want to share too much as far as that's concerned, but I think me and my family should be doing pretty okay in certain contingencies, like the one where the power goes out, like massive solar flare hits the air, boom, everything that isn't in a Faraday cage goes down, and there's like huge social unrest. I've got a pretty good plan for that shit. Because make no mistake, if that shit happens, I think there was some show about that. Maybe it's the Twilight Zone. Maybe that's what they're referencing, and that's why they're like, Aiden obviously hasn't seen the Twilight Zone. But got Dustin Buck up in the house. How's it going, Dustin?
Just wanted to show off my work.
Nice. Well, now that
isn't that gorgeous?
It is nice. No, credit where it's due. It's looking good, man.
That's for little kids, bud. That's for little kids.
Hell yeah. How many of those do you do in a week, do you reckon?
Let me see. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that was with drainage and I don't know, 20 yards of rock each field.
Damn, that's a lot of work,
yeah.
Man.
It's legit, yeah. But you know, it is what it is. I just wanted to show off my job, the fruits of my labor. I'm actually particularly proud of this field right here. This one is. It's just
if you're trying to show
I don't know.
You can't see it.
It is the crown. Oh no. Well, I will, but yeah, it is the crown jewel. Right.
No, it's looking good. It's looking good. So Dustin, now that you're here, I've got to ask you, you got any
What's up?
You got any apocalypse contingency plans? If the shit hits the fan, you got anything in mind on what you're gonna do?
All plans are doomed to failure in the face of the enemy, because mostly everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, and then it's your ability to improvise.
Everybody
right?
has a
Like
plan until they get punched in the mouth. That's a good Mike Tyson quote.
But it's true, right? Like you think everything's gonna work according to plan, and then the punch you didn't see hits you.
But it's probably good to at least have a vague idea of what you're going to do, right? Like, just totally winging it is probably going to put you at least a little bit of a disadvantage.
There's okay, so look, there's a technical strategy when it comes to war, okay? Be the man that survives the first 30 days and be the man that gets out before the last 10. If you can do that, your odds of surviving a war go drastically up. I imagine it's about the same because when you're dealing with a zombie apocalypse, the zombies aren't after resources, they're after people.
I mean, that is true. That is true.
Right.
Well, one of the biggest differences, if it really is going to be a zombie apocalypse, is that unlike a human enemy, they're not gonna sleep. You know, they're not gonna have provisions that they need to worry about. They're just gonna keep relenting forward endlessly.
That works to your advantage if you know how to capture a bunch of them. You got to think about security because people are going to be looking for resources.
Yeah, but are we okay? But if it's fast zombies, you're not gonna have any good luck with that shit, though.
That depends on how many truck and trailer loads I can get my hands on before shit goes really bad. But yeah, no, like you got to have a strategy for these things, like you said. Like me, I would dig pits, and then I would corral them into truck trailers. And then I would ship them places, like a cow. Like you know, there's ways to do this.
I mean, you could do like punji pits, like they did in Vietnam too. Like,
why would you impel your zombies? Then you got a mess to clean up. No, don't do that.
No. Because you could do that because then they're stuck, and you could just go around with a spear and just be like, shoop, 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 just get them in the head. They're all stationary.
Oh no! You don't kill your zombies. There's value in your zombies.
You're trying to see the economic value in the zombies. See, Dustin,
oh, absolutely.
You're a businessman. This is why
I try to be
so often, because there's an entrepreneurial spirit deep within your heart.
No, Aiden, look, I do have legitimate criticisms of Trump. I'm just not going to give you good talking points. Not going to do it. I want to debate you. I want to debate you on these subjects because I think they're important. Well, look, I'm not going to say that you're misguided or wrong. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt and coming to you in earnestness and in good faith to have a conversation with you about these issues so that we can suss out whether I'm crazy in thinking that you are emotionally compromised or if you are literally trying to ring the alarm bell and there is no other, I don't know, ulterior motive.
I mean, what would constitute that in your mind, though, Dustin? And don't think that I'm asking that because I'm just then going to pursue whatever you tell me that. Because, I mean, like, do you really think I'm that dishonest as a person? I'm not just going to know whatever thing you would say. I just genuinely want to know what would, in your mind, constitute genuinely trying to ring the alarm bell as opposed to just trying to do this because I'm only upset with one individual person.
Aiden, I'd love to be able to give you nothing but the benefit of the doubt. The issue is your talking points are mirrored with most of everybody else's.
I mean, you can say that if you want. I don't think that I I don't think that I just ape other people's talking points. I think that I definitely...
That's not... No, Aiden, see, there you go again. That's not what I said. Well, I didn't say you aped other people's talking points, okay? I didn't say you're out there taking notes from other people so that you can steal their material, their life, whatever. I'm not espousing that you have ulterior motives that are bad. I have a suspicion, but I'm not going to accuse you, and suspicion is not accusation.
All right. Hey, Josh, welcome to the stream, by the way.
This is a breaking swindle.
Oh, I'm sorry. Welcome to the show. I hope you're doing well today.
Do you want my 2 cents, or should I just keep my mouth shut?
I'd like your...
Actually, if you're gonna, yeah, you beat me to
it. I want your 5 cents. Let's hear
it. Maybe just ease up a little bit on Miss Ahmad. That's my 2 cents there.
I mean, God, one of these days I'm gonna figure out what the connection is.
All right. I mean, your
Just
your
ease up a little bit.
Your 2 cents has been noted.
Thank you. I doubt that's all. And then Dustin, good job on the baseball field.
Oh, thank you for that means a lot to me, Josh. Thank you.
That's all. Did you want to say anything to me, Aiden? Or I'm on my lunch break, so I'd rather spend it eating than trolling. But yeah,
Josh, I just want to tell you, don't ease up on whatever meal that you're about to absolutely
I'm
destroy
not.
right now. What are you having for lunch, Josh?
It's I call it my 16-hour braised beef flank steak special. Yeah.
That sounds absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, please do destroy that.
It takes.
Did you just say flag steak?
Flank.
Okay, I was gonna say, what part of the cow is the flag?
Oh man, you don't want to know. But
I have no doubt that Josh has every education into beef that there ever was or is.
Josh is an expert on multiple things. He's a knowledgeable man, and I heed his advice.
Yeah, but no, in all reality, in all actuality, I did find that video that you said that you posted 14 years ago or something like that. So yeah. I am holding that as my ace of spades. You know me and my cards, but
you and your cards.
So whatever Josh says from now on is automatically right, and I agree with him on everything. And
ooh, you got dirt on him?
Don't fucking post that fucking video, Josh. I swear to fucking God, we had a fucking conversation about this in private, and now you're gonna come on here on my fucking stream and say, "Oh, look at me, my name's Josh. I'm gonna come and destroy it." Fuck you, Josh. Don't fucking come on here and say that shit.
I'll just say this: it's almost as bad as the Terry Stream 9 years ago video. Almost.
It's hard to be as bad as that, but it's pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal.
No, you're on the other side of the spectrum of almost as bad.
I don't know how to interpret that. I really don't. I'm scared. Josh.
Well, you know what videos you have out there. Let's just leave it at that.
Josh, do you need money?
No, but any money you can send me.
Like, I will compromise whatever morals or scruples I've claimed I've had live on the air right now in order to prevent you from playing that game.
I'm sitting here listening to this. I'm thinking like I'm over here drowning and Josh is up on the shore. like what the hell? Here, do you need any money, buddy? You fucking asshole.
Don't worry, Dustin. Any money that comes to me, I will forward immediately straight to you. So it's all going to the same place.
Josh, give me some lunch to go eat. Get out of here. Get out of here.
It's like I could see one finger still above the water. I don't think it's his pointer though.
Welcome to the show, my friend. Good to see you. How's it going with you?
Thank you, Eden. Yeah, it's going good. I'm gonna probably go to bed in a bit, but I wanted to join just to say hello. Thank you for
always good to see you, buddy. Always good to see you. Dean, Aiden is in the. Oh, don't you? You know what, Dean? Somebody ban Dean. Somebody ban Dean. Aiden is in the Epstein files. Get the fuck out of here. Get the hell out of here.
Probably for being offered to go on the island, and he's like, "I'm too cool for you guys." He's all like, no, but I'll counter you with coming to Aiden's Island.
Aiden's Island. The Aiden file.
Have you ever seen a little patch? Have you ever seen a Walmart parking lot that's flooded, Dustin? And there's like the one. There's one shopping cart in a puddle in a Walmart parking lot. That's Aiden Island right there. That's Aiden's
we can call your plane the Can Aiden Express.
Oh God. Monsieur Claude, I notice you have joined
Hello,
the
Claude.
show. Welcome.
Good to see you.
Hello. My God, you've got us all on today. I'd just like to announce the weather report from Dinosaur Adventureland. A severe depression lingers around Lenox, Alabama, intelligence is below average for this time of the year, and the outlook is for no improvement. There'll be no need for future forecasts after 2028 because end times will mean the world no longer exists. Thank you.
Did you just tell me it was partially cloudy with a chance of stupidity? Is that the report you just gave me?
I should have said partially cloudy with a chance of clawed balls.
No, but the last thing I want to see falling from the sky is Claude's balls.
Look,
Although,
Dustin, the only inaccurate thing about what you just said there is that there's no chance of stupidity at Dinosaur Adventure Land. It's never a chance.
what was it? Claude? What was it? Claude Vowels? Claude Vowels?
Cloudy Vowels, yeah.
Claude Vowels?
Yeah, who is it that came up with that? That was Kent that came up with that.
Yes.
I don't know if he came up with it, but it was good. That was a zinger.
Oh dear.
He was clearly quite adept at that during grade school. He was very good at coming up with the disparaging nicknames, yes.
I thought he would have drawn from some kind of inspiration. Not sure what exactly.
Maybe the
Claude Vowels.
How are you today, Claude?
No, I'm good. Yeah, I'm just, fixated. Some guy came on and big rant on one of my posts and said that, and goes on and on and on, like several paragraphs, and then he said, "You'll never watch my channel again." He's a Hoven lover, of course, and just, he's missed the point. Nothing original. Well, that's right. I'm proud of it.
Sorry, Aiden. I can't mute. Both my hands are busy.
That's good.
What are you
I'll mute. Now, Claude, behave yourself. Behave yourself.
That's not necessary. I thought we were on okay terms now.
Yeah.
I think on Restream there might be a thing where if I mute somebody, they might not even be able to unmute themselves. Dustin, try unmuting yourself right now. Oh wait, you can't. You just said that you can't. I'm fucking stupid.
Oh, you can mute me if you want. I'm
Yeah.
tapping someone, so you can mute me.
Oh no, I was Claude. I'm gonna mute you. Try to unmute after I mute you. I think it does. I think it is on. Yeah, I think on Restream it doesn't let the person unmute themselves once you've muted them. I guess that's one advantage it has compared to StreamYard. Because if you mute somebody on StreamYard, 90% of the time they just end up unmuting themselves.
Yeah, 5 seconds later.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I do prefer the layout of StreamYard, though. I think the UI on StreamYard is way cleaner than Restream. So there is that. And plus, nobody can join on their phone with Restream because it never works properly on people's phones. I don't know why. StreamYard's a lot better for that. So I think at some point I will probably be trying to do my own thing with my own StreamYard. I might need a certain wealthy benefactor in order to pay for the StreamYard, but that is okay. Work that out on my own time. Oh wait, do you have a StreamYard, Claude?
Yes, but I just have the free account, so I can only do live stream for 20 hours in one calendar month.
I see.
That's
Oh yeah,
that's all I do anyway.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
I've just got my account back because I did karaoke way too much, so I've just got my full account back. Yeah, so I've got 20 hours. Yeah.
It also means for my keeping my recordings, as it were, I can have 5 hours, I think, of them maximum. So I have to go and keep, cleaning out that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but now I can only, maybe at the very beginning, there's about 3 hours way back a long way, and I need to go back there, but it takes too long to find them.
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Yep.
Have you guys seen my baseball field?
Yeah, it looked good. Yeah.
Have you seen my baseball field? You want to see my baseball field?
What, are you trying to quote a movie or something like that?
You want to see my baseball field? Yeah, you want to see my baby Fabio?
Pardon
My baby Fabio?
what are you saying?
Excuse you, Odo. I like to see homos naked. I like to see homos naked.
Je sais non anglais.
Although that is just rounders for boys. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just rounders. Basically.
Well, I think I might be closing it down fairly soon here. I've got to get ready for work, but it just kind of
The
depends.
bowels are getting cloudy, and I need to research the laboratory.
I need to go to bed pretty soon. It's been a
Mention
long
Ken.
day. I woke up about 6 this morning, so yeah, I need to go to bed in a bit now. So.
It wouldn't be Claude if he didn't mention the Kents. Ken has been on. He had the Brady Barham on saying how innocent he was. So I found the clips of when Clint admits that Brady was let's say, an offender of a certain description, and so I put that alongside. But really pissing a lot of the Hoven supporters off, and because it's there, you can't argue. In fact, when on the show, I think it was the first time I was interacting with him, and when I got him in a zinger and said, but you said he was, Hoven says, well, have you ever done anything wrong? And I say, no, well, not with children, no. So it's the perfect slap in the face for that little...
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I mean, what? He just... Anyway, I won't say more.
No, it's good. By the way, everybody out there, go check out Claude's channel. Claude is great. He makes awesome content. And while I'm sure everybody that's already watching has already subscribed to Claude, on the off chance that you haven't, make sure that you go and do so.
I might not have done. If you can put the link in the side chat or the private chat. Yeah. I will subscribe to your channel. Yeah.
Oh, Claude might be a little offended. He's getting a little bit gruff right now. Very pleased about that. I'll go link Claude's channel. Let me go link Claude's channel. I'll go get that for you. Hey, at least he's saying that he's going to go do it, though. So think about it that way.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
What is this? I'm looking at there's your channel. I was wondering if someone else made a video called Claude Ball's Walkout, and was wondering what that was all about.
I don't know.
Seems like it's a short of yours. It's
I do swinging by the balls. All sorts of things.
Alrighty, I've put the link to Claude's channel out there in the side chat.
Hey, Claude, I have an idea for a thumbnail.
Yes.
I want to see you loading your Claude bowels into a trebuchet and Kent Hovind like in his camp with like high walls.
Are you saying that it's like the Mongolians with the siege of Kaffa? He's gonna use like biological warfare against them?
I want to see Claude drop his bowels over on Kent Hovind.
Jeez. Talk about something that's gonna get the stream taken down. Jeez, man.
There's a clip somewhere on YouTube of a person in a zoo. They got that the glass screen between them and the animals. Anyway, I think it's a baboon or whatever. What a big, or could even be a gorilla, comes up, sticks its ass out towards the screen, and then just lets rip. And it just it's the most incredible thing. And I think that's what Kent is worried about with cloudy bowels, because it was very cloudy.
Right, I'm going to leave you alone. Thank you, Claude. I'm just subscribed to your channel, and thank you, Aidan, for letting me on, and thank you, Justin, for doing the fantastic baseball field. Yeah, but I'm going to go to bed now.
Thank you, Wildheart, for joining.
Yes.
And have a great night, man. Cheers.
You too, man. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Anyway, Aidan, I really think we should have like a formal debate. Right. And like I said, in order to keep it fair, you pick a topic, I pick a topic, we each pick a time, and we each debate each other's topics. I think that would be fair.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. All I would say though, in an attempt to at least maybe get something resolved today, is that do you like the reason why? Do you understand that the reason why I keep bringing up my criticism of the Democrats is because your biggest contention right now is that I'm only doing this because of Trump, and that I'm only critical of this because Trump is the one that's in office right now.
Aiden, I'm not looking at this in terms of parties. I'm looking at this in terms of personality. I understand the argument not to be a cult of personality. Do not mistake what I am saying. The issue comes when you start, well, no, I'm not going to go there because it's going to give you a talking point.
See, that's the thing, dude. You can't engage in a Socratic dialogue because
I certainly can in a debate formal setting.
Oh, that's the only setting that you can engage in a Socratic dialogue? Really, dude? You're incapable of managing your opponent's position outside of a debate? Is that really, honestly, the best faith?
You're trying to dig my strategy out of me, Aiden.
Hey, I'm just pointing out that it's just a little bit suspicious that you're totally unwilling to steel man your opponent's position when I have no problem steel manning your position right now.
I think that you would probably accurately portray the nature of my grievance very well, but I don't believe you understand the underpinnings that lend me to that thinking.
Well, that being as it may, that doesn't detract from the fact that I'm pointing out that I'm able to give you a steel man of your position while you're refusing to do that of mine. I don't see how...
I've given you my steel man of your position. Now, if it's delusional, we can have a debate and figure out where the issues are.
If you gave me a steel man of it, I must have missed it. Can you give it to me again, please?
You have TDS. The only reason that you are... is my steel man of your position, absolutely. You are upset that Trump won the election. He's doing things you don't like, and this is what amounts to a tantrum.
Dustin, what is a steel man?
It's to show that you have a charitable understanding of your opponent's argument.
How is that a charitable representation of my argument?
That's as charitable as I can be, Aiden. As rude and ruthless and disgusting and heinous as you have been recently, I don't know, bro. This is why I want to have this debate.
The truth or lack thereof of what I'm saying, then isn't that just lending to the idea that you're getting emotional about this, which is one of your primary criticisms you've levied at me?
I'm not
engage with you based on the way that you've been acting, as far as what the comments that I've been saying about fucking government officials being sleazy pieces of shit and acting in a way that's fucking either unconstitutional or fundamental.
Who disagrees with that? Who disagrees with that, Aiden? No, I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't see you as actually framing it that way. I see an ulterior motive. I don't want to accuse you of that. I don't, Aiden, but I want to have an opportunity to maybe suss it out, get you to admit it, or maybe even see it for yourself, because I don't know, man. And I'm trying to be honest with you. What is this? If this in any way is in bad faith, I'll tell you what. I'll drop it right now.
Dustin.
Tell me it's in bad faith, and I will drop it right now.
No, it's not that. It's not that.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, Dustin, you know what can unify us right now? You know what can unite us? Making fun of what a dumb shit Lupin is. Why don't we do that?
I don't have a problem of dunking on. Having a dunk on Lupin session. It's what God intended him for.
See,
go ahead and argue with that one, Aiden.
I can't. How can I argue?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
That's like arguing.
Yeah.
That's like arguing against the sky being blue. I'm not gonna take that position. I'm not gonna try and take that position, dude. No. Hold on. I'm gonna pull this up because one of my many amazing community sources has just linked me this. This is hot off the presses, ladies and gentlemen. It says, start at the 7-minute mark. Lupin belches and then butchers the Epstein files. Alrighty, let's go and check that out. Because I don't have a problem with reviewing that at all. Oh, wait, I don't have it pulled up because I'm used to the other way that StreamYard, well, how StreamYard works. Let's put that at full screen.
Oh, whatever, who cares?
go back a little bit more just for context. All right, Dustin, are you ready? Are you ready?
You can just hear the low IQ in his voice. You can just hear the low IQ in his voice. Yes, I am ready. Aiden, let's go.
What's to defend Lupin? Anybody know a good bird movie? Are you really out here defending Lupin, Steven, after what he just did? I guess that is the Christian thing to do. That is the if you get slapped in the face, you turn the other cheek and you offer it to your opponent. So good on you for being a decent Christian, at least, Steven.
But they're like, oh, you know what? I don't think you could say that Stein guy's name like so early on in a stream. Otherwise, it starts like kind of lowering your view count. Whatever, who cares? It'll get around. But
It'll get around.
You can't talk about that. Not because Trump is all over the place. It's because you lower the view. Okay, Lupin, whatever you say, buddy.
Yeah, it'll get around with people laughing at you.
Yeah, it is getting around right now as we speak. So I guess he was right in that aspect, wasn't he? It is getting around.
But he's not getting the attention he wanted.
When has this guy ever gotten the fucking attention he wanted? He's literally.
I imagine there was once when he was a baby.
Maybe you're right. There might have been a brief iota of time in his life where he got a little bit of the attention he wanted. Who knows?
Yeah, I was just trying to explain to some people. It's just, man, whenever you become somebody of extremely high status, whether you're like a politician or actors or people that are really big and like the Mark Zuckerbergs and the Bill Gates and
I want you, by the way, to just have in your mind a counter for all of the uhs and knows and likes this guy throws.
I can't count that high, Aiden.
This guy doesn't even have verbal crutches. This guy has a verbal wheelchair.
I only have 10 fingers and toes, Aiden. I only have 10 fingers and toes. What do you want me to use after that?
I don't know. Start counting your fucking nose hairs. I don't know. Jesus.
All of
that might work.
Yeah. Everywhere you go, it's documented either knowingly knowing that you're being documented, or even unknowingly, like people are always tracking you. You kind of have no privacy.
That's what you were trying to get out there, dude. That's what you were trying. You could have just said we have no privacy, but instead, you got no privacy, right? It's like, congratulations, Lupin. You really landed that plane. You landed it about as well as certain people did on the September 11th. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, that's another thing about Trump and the Epstein files. People don't mention that he's a big reason that Epstein got investigated.
Oh yeah, this is the red, white, and blue guy. He's like the latest hanger on Lupin's stream. We'll see how long that lasts before he, sees Lupin for who he truly is. That'll be interesting to see how long this guy hangs around, because he's from what I understand, a pretty recent addition to Lupin's little island of misfit toys.
I just had an epiphany.
What's that?
You realize that Aiden was the catalyst that brought our friendship together, right, Aiden?
That Aiden was the catalyst that
brought
our...
I'm sorry. I was talking about Aiden, but I didn't mean to put you in the wrong position.
No, all good.
You realize that Lupin is the reason that we're friends today, right?
Yes. Honestly,
you understand this? You have any idea how weird it is that he's the glue that keeps us together?
We've got GWB here off in the side chat. I'm a little curious as to who this might be. Who do we got over here? Who do we got? Let me add this person. See what's up. Oop, sorry about that.
Well, hey there, Aiden. This is George W. I just come to say hello.
Welcome. You know, Mr. President, quite frankly, this is an honor having you here. And thank you for coming to the stream. I really appreciate it.
Frankly, I'm just glad that Republicans and Democrats can come together and help children read gooder.
You know, it's true. You know, people need to be putting food on their families. It's very important.
Oh, there's nothing more important than putting food on your families. And that's what I told the terrorists when we attacked them for not attacking us first.
Now watch this drive.
So,
yeah. 100%, man. Lone Wolf says it exactly. First off, we wouldn't even, you know,
I don't
honestly
know,
Trump is a very good trap setter. He's very good at trapping people, and he probably was like, don't release the files, you know, don't release.
Yeah, what's
what on God's green earth would the first mouse to a mousetrap know about a good trap? What the dude, like, he is a walking self-sabotaging piece of redundancy.
All right, guys. Well, let's just hear Lupin out. I mean, the thing about a trap is that you got to have cheese, and Trump does look like cheese.
That's true. He does look like cheese, GW. Let's give the 43rd president of the the 45th president of the United States of America some credence here, Dustin, and let's listen.
Release them. Don't release them. There's some nasty stuff in there. Nasty stuff. We can't let that stuff get out. You know, you guys, you're not ready for it. And then so that starts whipping up everybody into like a frenzy, like, release them now, release them, and everything. And then, you know, it kind of forces the Democrats to, like the political Democrats, not just like people who affiliate themselves with a party. It kind of puts them in a corner. And you know, there's a lot of I guarantee you there's probably a lot more Democrats that are in that file than there are conservatives and Republicans. Like, I know that there's going to be.
I love how this is the final frontier that they have to resort to now. It's like, let's talk about the number of people on one side versus the number of people on the other side. It's like, weren't you the people that were just talking about how, oh, you only care about it when it's Trump and not Bill Clinton? It's like you're literally using the exact logic that you try to make fun of people for supposedly using themselves. You're trying to say that somehow it's okay because there's going to be more people on the left in them than the right, even if that was the case, which it might be. Who knows? But if that's the case, who cares? Lock them all up. Throw them all away, for all I care.
Well, but I mean, I just know you're going to have Schumer, you're going to have Pelosi, you're going to have the Clinton.
There's a non-zero chance that Lupin is Kaiser Soze. The fact that I know what that's referencing without even having seen the full movie makes me so sad. The fact that I know what that's referencing, BS. Thank you for reminding me about that.
Did Lupin just imply that Nancy Pelosi was on the Epstein files as what? The pig on the plate? Like, what reason would Nancy Pelosi be going to a sex island for? What? I imagine maybe the supposed eating babies. That's possible. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that one out. But really, Lupin? Come on, dude. What possible reason would Nancy fucking Pelosi be going to a sex island for?
Hey, maybe he'll explain it. Hey, maybe he'll explain it. Let's give him a chance.
You're gonna have Schumer, you're gonna have Pelosi, you're gonna have the Clintons, you're gonna have Walls, you're gonna have
Walls, somebody that the Republicans have only started caring about over the last year, which just goes to show
how partisan this guy is and how selective this guy is with his outrage. Who the hell was saying anything negative about Tim Walz a fucking year ago on any kind of massive scale? I'm sure people within Minnesota were saying things negative about Tim Walz a year ago, but the idea that, like, oh, I'm sure he's in the file, it's just an appeal to emotion in its purest form.
Now, Aiden, to be fair here, I do think that Lupin has possibly exhausted his list of Democrats that he can name.
You know what, GW? That's a good. Thank you for being here and giving good faith representation. Where I appreciate it. I do.
No. That is a classic Bush mistake. The enemy's out of ammunition. Charge.
The thing is they don't know how to do a good distraction, right? You got to take advice from my daddy, and when you get in some bad publicity, you got to invade Iraq.
Oh, thank you, Steve. I mean, GW, for being here.
Now are you against? Are you with us or are you with the terrorists?
It's a good question. That's a good question. One that I'm sure Lupin will answer in due time.
Probably Kamala. You're gonna have Obama.
I wouldn't be surprised if Cuomo's in there. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in there.
I'm just going off names off the top of my head.
Oh, really? Like that wasn't already obvious that you were. You know what, GW? You hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head, good sir. He was, in fact, just naming things off the top of his head.
Well, you know, even a broken clock is right twice a day. That's because we're in America, where wings take dreams.
And to be fair, Aiden, most of those names are probably in the index in the very front of the report. So, you know, I mean, I don't think he got very many pages beyond that.
I'm pretty sure about like 95% of the Democratic Party, the politicians are probably on that list. At least the important ones that are making a couple $100 million at least through offshore accounts. And
yeah, and the Republicans just aren't over there in mass either at all, dude, right? Look, Lupin, if this is one thing, like if the Epstein files have taught people one thing, it should be that this horrible thing that has been getting, like, the things that Epstein and his ilk were getting up to was not partisan, right? It wasn't a left-wing thing. It wasn't a right-wing thing. It was a bunch of rich, elite billionaires getting together and doing a bunch of messed up stuff. So the fact that you're trying to take something that just a couple of years ago when this first initially came out, and everybody was behind the idea that Epstein didn't take his own life, and everybody was behind the idea that the files needed to immediately be released. All of a sudden, when it became a partisan issue, you just step right in line with everybody else and start parroting what everybody else tells you to parrot, like a good little soldier for the right wing. Give me a break. It's just really, really weird, dude. The fact that you were just going around and so overtly changing your standards like that. I don't know, dude. I'm trying to be more polite though. You know, I've got a presidential presence on the panel, and as a result, I'm trying to tamp down my criticisms a little bit.
Aiden.
What's up, Dustin?
Aiden, I think we've been through this before. Like, if you could be, look, you are as charitable as you possibly can be. All right. The only chance of you becoming more charitable is likely to the same chance of you growing a penis out of your forehead. You are being exactly accurate. Please, okay, even if the president has an issue with you, I think only time will tell, but I think eventually he'll come around to your way of thinking. Just give it time.
We'll see. We'll see. All right, I'm going to play a little bit more. Oh, sorry, GW. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's worth noting that he pointed out 95% of the Democrats are probably on the list for Epstein Island. And then he proceeded to name 7 Democrats off the top of his head. God bless his heart. Now that's just good mathing.
that is some rock solid mathing, GW. I couldn't agree with you more. All right,
just gotta leave, but I'll still be watching and listening, but I just have to go and do some other things. Thank you.
All right, take care, Claude. Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
Well, I'm going to play a little bit more of this, and then I'm going to do my send-off for the day because I got to be getting on ready for work pretty soon here. Is there a GW? Yes, there is. Here, let me show the full panel off really quickly. Yeah, we got George Bush himself in the flesh on the panel. Please give the president his proper welcome. All right.
I'm just happy to still be relevant, really.
Yes, indeed, Mr. President.
Somali leering centers.
Yeah. Wait, you mean the party that wants safe spaces and tells kids that they're born the wrong body and to not tell their parents? You think those are the people who are pedos? No way.
Lupin is walking, talking evidence for the leering centers. For the love of God.
No further comment needed. No further comment needed.
It's almost comedic. It's comedic in a way, and this is what Lone Wolf said, and I've said this before. We wouldn't have the Epstein files if it wasn't for Trump. Does anyone remember the Democrats trying to release the files? It's like, does anybody remember that we had a president or a resident, if you will, resident
because he's old, unlike Trump. They're both definitely not in their 70s and within like a year or two apart from each other in terms of age. Yeah, Trump's definitely all there. If my Trump without Trump segment proves anything, it's that Trump is all there.
Now, if I could, Aiden, just briefly.
Go ahead.
He makes a great point about Trump pushing out the Epstein files. And he did it in a brilliant type of way by trying to gaslight the entire world into believing they didn't exist for weeks.
That's true. That is the most effective way of pushing those out into the public eye, is by denying their existence. I couldn't agree with that more, Mr. President. Thank you.
I call him the resident in chief, not just because I've been playing Resident Evil.
Resident in chief? Are you trying to say commander in chief, but you mix those two up together? What? Okay, bro.
But because he's like a literal dementia and they say that Trump is dementia addled. Like Trump is in his upper.
Yeah, he kind of is, bro. He's wandering around in the middle of press conferences trying to show off a non-existent ballroom and shit in his drawers in front of national television. I think he's kind of gone too. I'm not saying Biden isn't also gone, but they're both gone. All right, it's just true.
70s, and it's 100% projection. It's like, bro, your guy wasn't even alive. Like, he wasn't even alive.
Okay, I now have the evidence I need
version of it,
to verify that Lupin watches me, because there's no way he knew that word before I used it the other day.
Hold on, let me go back and see if I can catch which one it was, because I must have missed it.
Your guy wasn't even alive. Like, he wasn't even alive. He wasn't even conscious. If that was him, whichever version of him it was, whether it was the robot, the animatronic version, the synth version, the body double version, whatever version it was, they were all stupid. And
which one was it? I must have missed it. Which word did he use?
His droning made me forget what it was, but yeah, no, it was he used a word, and like, he used it in its proper context. I mean, that's pretty impressive. But that's because the other day I kind of explained it, right? Because I was arguing with somebody and I forget anyway.
No, it's all good. We'll keep going.
There's a kind of a conspiracy, but honestly, all the conspiracies, they're not really so much conspiracies anymore, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they all just get proven in like 2 years.
Yeah, if you just give us
the conspiracies that implicate the people that you like, right? Those conspiracies definitely didn't end up becoming true and being vindicated. No. It's only the conspiracies that I wanted to be true that are the ones that are coming out. Come on, dude. Just admit that you're doing a choose your own adventure version of reality, okay? I'd respect it a lot more if you just came out and just went, yeah, I just built a reality itself about what I expect to be the case and not be the case, rather than objectively evaluate it. You know, like, if you could at least admit that, I'd respect you a lot more.
some time, they end up being true, and a lot more. A lot of times, it's even worse than.
Has Lupin lost weight? I don't know, Phantom. You kind of got a bit of a profile shot there a second ago. Let's check that.
More.
I don't know. There's still a suspicious lack of neck. But I don't know. There might be more of one there than before. It's still pretty bullfrog up in there, but...
We need to do a wellness check on Aiden and Isle Ozempic. Isle Ozempic. Health check on Aiden, Isle Ozempic. I think his bones might be broken.
I actually think he's making a lot of sense, and I kind of want to use him as a speechwriter in the future.
A lot of times, it's even worse than you even thought it was. You know, the rabbit hole goes deep. That's why we don't. That's why, you know, you don't want to put all your faith into these politicians, whether you feel like you're on their side or there's, you know, they do at the end of the day, you know, go to the same country clubs at the end of the day. Trump is a little bit different, but by all means, he's not going to be perfect. And yeah, there might be some issues with in there, but you know,
there might be some issues in there. Yeah. Not the fact that he's been implicated more times than the words Harry Potter are used in the Harry Potter series. No.
We really need to debate this, Aiden. It needs to be done between you and me.
I'm sure we'll do it. I'm sure we will. I won't deny you the opportunity. But you know what I am going to do, though? I'm going to be closing the show down. It's been a lot of fun, guys. Mr. President, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Aiden. And also thank you, President Trump. Because of the timeless work you're doing in the White House, that's what we call the place where the president lives. My administration suddenly doesn't stink so bad. So thank you, Mr. President.
Dustin, would you like any closing statements?
Aiden and I look like we fight like cats and dogs, but the reality is we are friends. At least I consider him my friend. Bottom line there is I don't understand how two people can look at the same scenario and come to completely different conclusions. But I love Aiden either way, and I still pray for him even though he doesn't believe in it.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I know ultimately you mean nothing but good intention when you do that. So I appreciate it. I'm just going to put you out just so that I'm going to make my final closing statement and then do the outro. Thanks for coming by, Dustin. I always appreciate your presence, buddy. Alrighty. So I just want to do a closing statement. I noticed upon doing a real quick check, I lost a few subscribers. I was at 87 at the beginning of the day, 84 now. And, you know, I know where that came from because I'm now out of Mod's Discord, and that's unfortunate. You know, I'm sorry that things ended up having to come to this point. I really am. Just know that I did try to resolve it through alternative means, and that I didn't say anything that I said here today with the express intent to try and hurt you or tear you down. I said it because I have a right to express my frustrations, right? And I do hope that we can come to a better understanding on these sorts of things. And I hope that we can do that in the future in a way that's more private and closed off, as opposed to the way that it ended up working out now. So, with that being said, I don't hate Maud. I don't have any ill will towards Maud. She told me that she hates me today in the side chat. And I hope that that's just something that was said in the heat of the moment instead of actually being meant, because that would be really unfortunate if I lost a friend over this. It was the furthest thing from my intention. I hope that things can be worked out, because I like being Maud's friend. I like being everybody in this chat that's been in this chat today's friend. It's a privilege. Pardon me. It's a privilege to be around all of you guys. And I hope that things can be worked out. So I lost hundreds of subs when I started sharing what I wanted about caring people would think about it. Gain more hundreds in value later. I mean, I'm not acting like it's the end of the world that I lost a handful of subs today. I'm just saying that, you know, it's unfortunate that that's the direction things ended up going in. And just know that I don't mean any ill will, and that I hope that things can be resolved is really the sentiment that I kind of want to put out there leaving this stream. So, with that being said, no old man outro. That's what you think, BS. You think there's no old man outro? Well, I'm sorry, sir, but you're mistaken. Have a good one, everybody. And with that being said, here's the old man intro. Or outro, rather.